Surav.
Hello.
This is the trophy you won for last year's 2018 World Billiards Championships. How do you think you're going to go this year?
Well, it's $1 million question, honestly, because the depth that we have in the field of billiards today is absolutely incredible. So many fantastic players all over the world, and to pick a winner is so tough. Even last year, I know what a tough time I had. Especially in the semi-final, I was down by 550 points, and to win that match, and then the finals, it's a huge deal, honestly. To pick a winner, very tough. I think there are 5 or 6 solid players in the world today who are capable of making 500 plus breaks on their given day. But yeah, I'm very confident. It's winning the world title last year was a huge monkey off my back, and I come here with more confidence, and of course with having refined my skills a little more, having changed a few technical aspects of my game, I feel more confident. And as I said, it's a huge monkey off my back, and that's what sport is about. You need that one big a break or a win, and a world title is a world title in any sport. So I feel good, but predicting what the result would be would something that I can't do. But yeah, I know I'm going to give it my best, and yeah, I fancy my chances. So let's see how it goes.
Great. So how are you finding the conditions in Melbourne? How are the tables running?
Honestly, if I have to speak about the city, if I have to speak about Melbourne as a city, as Australia as a country, I love coming here, and I've been coming here for the last 12, 15 years. I came here when I was very young, first time. And to be honest with you, I feel like at home in Melbourne, because I've been here so many times. I sort of know my ways around here. So that's as far as the city goes. The weather is fantastic, and I also believe that Melbourne gets voted the best city to live in for so many years and stuff like that. So and I know why it is so, because it's such a beautiful city. People are friendly, warm, and coming to the conditions, I think RACV is a fantastic club. So niche and so beautiful, especially the billiard room that they have. To have that kind of a setup and infrastructure in a place like Melbourne, it's just fantastic. The conditions are beautiful. So many tables, they look gorgeous. So many people back home have asked me, wow, this is such a fabulous place. Where is this? So I think it's great conditions, especially for billiards. All the tables have been reclothed, which is a great thing. And I think even the players are unified in their opinion that these conditions are great to make big breaks and fitting to hold a world championship.
So how do you practice billiards? Do you have a routine?
Well, yes and no. Actually, my dad, who's basically my coach, and he's also won the world title. He won the world title in 1990.
Wow.
And I've sort of grown up, being a world champion's son. It was always a very, very heavy burden on me, And finally, winning the world title last year it was a big deal for us. So he's quite a stickler for discipline and on and off the table. So I don't have a set routine as such, but yes, before a big event, I do make sure that I'm giving 6 to 8 hours of solid practice, and so does my father. He makes sure that I'm not sort of meandering away from that routine. In fact, before coming here for the World Championship, we are having a big festival in India, especially in my hometown. It's called Durga Puja. It's huge. It's massive. You have millions of people thronging from different parts of the country to my city to worship this particular idol called Durga Ma, and it's huge. But unfortunately, I didn't go out anywhere. There were no plans with friends, because I knew I had to put in those hours. And once our sport is such that it's so emotionally draining that once your practice is done, you don't have anything left in you to be going out and having a good time in the festivities. So and especially because I play snooker as well. So for me to balance both the games, billiards, snooker, they're like chalk and cheese, honestly. To the layman, you'd probably feel that it's pretty similar, but it's actually chalk and cheese. It's very different. So I try to juggle my time in between both. So I'm playing a little bit of snooker, a little bit of billiards. So nothing fixed as such, but yeah, I think the main thing is to put in the hours and to be match fresh. And I think it works for me, not to exhaust myself playing too many tournaments. So Uh, well, yeah, I'm happy with the way it's going, and I'm happy with the way I train, especially having a world champion father as my coach. It really helps. You know, it's got its plus and the negatives as well, because he's really strict. But you know, yeah, it's nice. It's I've got a pretty set routine that way, so I'm happy with it right now. Yeah.
So there's a $24,000 prize for a 1,000 break. Do you think that somebody will get it?
Well, to be honest with you, as I said before, there are some really solid players in fray in this championship. The conditions are absolutely fantastic. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if there is a 1,000 break. But having said that, again, it's a huge milestone, a 1,000 break, and that too with the balkline rule. And whoever gets that, you know, it's going to be worthy of a lot of appreciation, because it's such a tough feat to achieve in modern day billiards. So I wouldn't put it past some of the top players, but again, it's a tough task. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Great.
So the trophy was manufactured by John Barnard and Sons of London. It's 90 ounces of solid silver, originally gilded, but over the years the gilding has worn off. And this is the first time that the trophy has travelled outside the United Kingdom and come to Australia for the championship. It's a very historic trophy. It's the oldest trophy in the world for a world championship. It predates the Claret Jug for the British Open, and it even predates the Wimbledon men's singles trophy, both of which are some years younger than this trophy. It's had a storied career, won by all the great champions over the years, and we're delighted to have it here in Australia for presentation to the 2019 World Billiards Championship here at the RACV Club in Melbourne, Australia.
Great, thank you very much.
Everybody's trying ready? You got 1 minute. Who's 20 your own time?
7.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the quarterfinal stages of the 2019 World Billiard titles held at the RACV Club in Melbourne. You're joined in commentary by Grant Meadley. Hopefully we'll be joined by Peter Tankard soon. So I'll kick the match off. This is a 3-hour quarterfinal match with Mike Russell from England versus Matthew Bolton from Australia. So a good morning to the viewers in Australia, and obviously good evening to the viewers in the UK. So if you just joined us, just drop a message and let us know where you're watching from today. This is a great starting opportunity for Matthew here. Both these players will be looking to establish an early lead in this quarterfinal match. So in early stages of this match, we've already seen 2 early covers by both players. Matthew's just contemplating coming off that bottom cushion to hit the yellow and cannon onto the red. A very tricky opening shot here. So this match started at 9:30 this morning, so we just kicked off the day. It's going to be a long day for some of these guys. They've got the 3-hour quarterfinals, and then they've got the semi-finals today as well. So just to give you a quick rundown on today's events, we obviously start with these quarterfinal matches. We have 3-hour quarterfinals, 2 1.5-hour sessions. So at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, there will be a 15-minute break before the final session. The semi-finals today will be played on the one table, the streaming table we see live at the moment. Will be 2-hour sessions for the semi-finals. So each semi-final will rotate on and off during the sessions this afternoon on this table. You'll be looking at getting the opponent's ball into a drop cannon position here, or in off position into the centre pocket. If he overhits this ball, he's obviously got the luxury of a drop cannon afterwards. He's left that a touch wide. These are always tricky shots at the start of the day. Just making sure of the contact on the red to leave the pot there. And there's another early cover for Matthew there. tables have played fairly consistent the last few days. Obviously, being the morning, I dare say the tables playing a little bit different to what the guys have experienced in the afternoon sessions. So Matthew will be hitting down on this ball a little bit. He's left himself inside the line of the natural cross loser. Plenty of live action today on both streams, so feel free to share the streams on the social media accounts. I'm sure there'll be plenty of viewers tuning in throughout the day and some late nights in the UK. Matthew wants this cue ball to just bounce off the cushion, half a foot here. That's worked out not too bad.
Thank you, Bolton. 42.
Mike's faced with a cannon hand to open some scoring. Just making sure of the contact on the red. Unfortunately, he's potted Matthew's ball there. So we'll see Mike take a few pots here and put Matthew into the ball area. So you can see that Mike's just elected to take the easy pot. Hasn't done too much with his cue ball, and he's going to play a double balk here. We're now joined in commentary by Peter Tankard from Australia. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks, Grant. Good to be here. Fantastic matches in prospect this morning, are they not?
They certainly
Incredible.
are. And, I was quite excited to see this match on the stream table. It's a match that we enjoy to watch both Mike and Matthew play. Both have been playing very well this tournament.
Don't know that Mike's hit his straps. In some ways, Matt hasn't hit his straps either. I mean, they're both capable of 700, 800 breaks, and
Yeah.
I don't think either has made a 400. Has Matt made a 400?
No, not yet. No.
Yeah. By their own standards.
By their own standards, yeah.
I don't think they've hit their straps, but we'll see. This is a fabulous match in prospect in so many ways, but the whole room is full of fabulous matchups. Last night, I think we had 16 players in the room who were the greatest 16 players ever assembled in one place at one time. Just extraordinary, the quality of the matches. Saurav Katari versus Pankaj Advani.
Yeah.
I mean, the reigning world champion against India's national hero. It was just a perverse result of the draw that originated from Pankaj not being seated in WBL and therefore coming up against David Corsia, going through second in his group on the opposite side of Corsia, and then bumping into the reigning world champion. So I noticed overnight that there were some comments from the Indian readers and viewers saying the draw looked fixed against the Indians. Well, not so. Simply that simply that that's the way it works mathematically.
Yeah. Great little shot there from Matthew. Mike just left a half ball in off. He missed a half ball in off there, and both players are just getting used to the throw of this match table.
Yes.
Obviously, morning conditions, the room temperature will be a little bit different to what they've experienced in the afternoon, so they'll just be adjusting initially. Yeah, it was an interesting draw that threw a few interesting last 16 matches.
Well, fascinating matchups in terms of style and differences, just extraordinary. Probably match of the round must have been Robbie Foldvari versus Nathway Oo. Did you watch any of that one?
No, I didn't, Peter. I was happily watching Surav play because Pankaj. It's Surav just came out of the blocks and had a 400 odd break and 200 odd early, and I haven't seen Surav play as well as that.
Yes. Well, he did last year, of course, to come back against David Corsier from 500 behind in the semi-final, and then to beat, like, David Corsier's best front runner in the world, and then to beat Peter Gilchrist in the final. I mean, Surav stepped up. He's not the same player that he was 2 years ago. He is genuinely a world-class contender, certainly top 2 or 3 now. I think the order of things is changing.
Yeah. So a difficult enough here for Mike. He'll be making sure, keeping his head down. That was straight in the middle of the pocket. It's one thing I noticed about Mike, with the difficult shots, he really concentrates and focuses on the shot and gets through the cue ball very well.
He's lost a lot of weight, hasn't he, in the last 2 years?
And that makes a massive difference to your game, and especially your endurance and concentration. I personally know from experience, Peter, it's definitely made my focus a little bit better, dropping a few kilos.
I think he might have lost 2 stones since the last time we've seen him in the old language. But he does look, all this week he's looked more businesslike. His game hasn't yet been there.
Yeah.
But he's looked more businesslike. Hasn't had the late nights and here on a mission.
Yeah.
Good on him.
He won't be too happy with that contact there.
No,
once
like
again, just struggling with the throw of the ball early.
Screwing off. What a great shot. What a great shot. Screwing off with pocket side there to suck it in off the far jaw.
So also today we've got the World Ladies event starting.
I know. How exciting is that?
It's very exciting for all the ladies involved. 10 lady players we have here today.
Yes.
Obviously
9 Australians and Alice Wu, a Chinese national.
Yeah.
It would be fair to say that Anna Lynch would be a warm favourite, and nobody likes to put the mockers on by saying that, but she is the reigning Australian ladies billiards champion, and actually played in the World Billiards Championship, the Open event for men and women, and did remarkably well, pushing Joe Manici, 14 times New South Wales state champion, to the limit, beating Zach Gucha from New Zealand. Played very, very well. Worried Todd Hayward. She's in probably the best form I've ever seen her in. You might know better than me about that.
Yeah, she's definitely been putting hours in, and thanks to the RACV club who have, given her the time to practice on the table. She's definitely put the hours in, and it's paying off for her.
Just reviewing last night's results, as I say, we had 8 tables going and 8 of the most extraordinary matches. On table 1, Matthew Bolton, who's appearing now, defeated Dwaj Harrier, 1,046 to 304. I didn't see a lot of that, but I understand Matt was dominant from early on.
Yeah, I did watch a lot of that match. It's Matthew came out really focused, and he was fairly disappointed with how the draw turned out with some of these the higher seeds getting moved in the draw, and that's just how the program works. So Matthew just knuckled down and did the business.
Yeah. Matthew qualified in first place following the round robin matches. He didn't have some of the tremendously difficult matches that others did, but managed to accumulate more points. All of the top 8 won all of their pool matches. It was a question of by how far, and Matthew was the farthest ahead, and I think David Corsier is the second best. On another table, we had a nip and tuck affair between Mike Russell and Steve Mifsud, where Mike won 770 to 668. Effectively, Mike won in the last break with a ton.
Yeah.
Prior to that, Steve had been right up there. Neither player, speaking to them at the end, felt that they produced their best.
No, I was actually watching a fair bit of that match too, and Mike came out with an early 200 break, and Steve fired back with a quick 80 and always kept himself in the game, and I think Steve did quite well, and he should hold his head high, because it's tough playing against an 18-time world champion.
Sure. Mike's not yet happy with his form. This match right here is the big test, first big test for both of these players. There's a certain amount of respect, and I must say a certain amount of needle in this match, and we'll talk a little bit more about that one shortly. Another table we had Rob Hall and young Ryan Mears, who's one of the up-and-coming English players. Ryan knocked in his best ever break of 260 in the Canadian Open this year. Rob Hall would have been a warm favourite for that one, and that proved to be fairly accurate. He won 807 to 395.
Yeah, well, that was an interesting start to that match. Both players had scored 200 or 100 points, and they were both warned for a time wasting.
I know, and this has been the subject of some overnight discussion and email, I must tell you, amongst the organising committee. We were very disappointed that happened, because a safety exchange in billiards is not time wasting.
No.
A long bout of safety is not time wasting, and it makes no sense to warn both players for time wasting. You would only ever warn the player that's behind.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's in front.
That's in front. That's right.
There's no point in we are on the clock, and we're ever conscious that the clock is ticking down, but it makes no sense to time waste if you're behind. You've got a job to do. You have to catch up.
Yeah.
So that's it was a strange situation, and there are some arguments about the way things unfolded there, and I won't go any further with it.
Just back to the action quickly. Mike's just hit the 80-point mark, so he'll soon be faced with a balk line crossing. So we'll just got the warning from Mr. Crodsgrove, our referee for this match. So
has he overhit that?
He's definitely overhit that.
A wry smile. Well, unless he's setting up, this would be bizarre.
Yeah.
A screw back into ball cannon. So pushes white to just outside the balk line. No, he's not playing that at all. But he's crossing the balk line.
That's the the most interesting approach to the baulk line
Never
crossing.
seen that one
Yeah.
before. Never seen that one before.
So there's not much Matthew can do here. He's unfortunately got a natural pot onto the centre pocket. He might play a little bit thinner. It's not the best scenario to pot the opponent's ball here, but unfortunately it was a natural angle.
Goes for the 10 shot instead.
Yeah.
No, just misses it.
He'd be sort of glad that didn't go in.
Yeah.
Here he could probably just follow it in and just start from the string again, from the break.
Yep. If he can get, you can't always get in, but maybe a touch of right hand side there, take it in off the jaw.
So Matthew with the long rest out with the extension.
No, decides to play it up the table, gets the same result anyway.
The same result.
Had he followed it in.
Yep.
Can't be disappointed because I agree with you, that was a better shot to play the restart anyway. But it does show you that he was aggressively trying to score from that situation, so he wanted to make 45 before he put them into baulk.
Yeah, I do say he was trying to go up for another pot red there and take a couple of pot reds before the double baulk.
Yeah. Not happy with that one. Shakes his head because the white is slightly off the cushion.
Yeah.
That means it's at least possible for Mike to get back to the red.
He's playing this with screw though, so he looks like he's taking a pot on here, Pete.
Might come back on that angle.
No, it's going to jaw. Yeah.
Well, how perverse. He's ended up with the shot that a lot of guys play for in any case, which is to line them up.
Yeah.
Matt ended up with the result that a lot of guys play for anyway in the previous shot.
Yeah.
So no damage done in either case. They've ended up with the preferred option.
So a lot of top here, I dare say. Matthew will be trying to play the cannon, the follow-through cannon.
Inside it.
Inside, yeah.
And has left an opening.
Slow down and straight.
Straighten them up.
Yeah. Won't be too much issue here for Mike though.
Yep.
So just back to the other results there.
Other matches from last night. The local derby, much anticipated in the world's largest democracy. And that was the matchup between Pankaj Advani, hero to many in India, versus Saurav Katari. Saurav came out of the blocks like a train. I didn't see the beginning of that match, but I understand he was leading by
700 odd
by
points.
700 odd.
Yeah.
I want to tell you that Saurav is a different player than we've seen in the last few years. There's a new edge, a new professionalism. I don't think, frankly, it was a surprise that he beat Pankaj. I think he's going to do more of that.
I think he is
He
too.
looks the goods.
Yeah.
He really looks the goods. And that's a clever shot.
Yeah.
And I think he's really one of the top 2 or 3 here. It will be no surprise to me if he repeats his performance from last year.
Yeah.
Saw the interview with him. He said that winning a world championship got a monkey off his back.
Yeah.
And probably more importantly, got his father Manoj off his back.
Yeah.
who's been on at him for quite some years.
Well, obviously, if he is successful in this tournament, he actually eclipses his father, Manoj, who only won one world
Who
title.
only got one.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Saurav will have 2 trophies on the mantelpiece at home.
And to Manoj's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And furthermore, this is a kind of open to all comers event. Manoj, when he was playing, the game was separated into amateur and professional.
Yeah.
This is an open to all comers event, and I think probably outranks Manoj's title.
Yeah.
So Manoj will be sorry to hear me say that, but
there's a
but
let
I
off
think
there
that's the
for
case.
Matthew.
Yeah.
The pockets on this table, they're not too generous, and both players have missed some early in-offs into that. The 2 top pockets.
Yeah. The 5th match we're going to talk about from last night, David Corsier, Steve Brookshaw. A genuine draw.
Yeah.
1,600 points to David Corsier, 1666, the Devil's number. to David during that time, including breaks of 307, 344, 464. The only two players that knocked in breaks over 400 during this last 16 were in fact Saurav Qatari with a 407 and David Causey with a 464. David backed it up with 307, 344. Steve Brookshaw really had no answers to that onslaught.
Yeah, it's tough to play against Dave. You're sitting in your chair for a long time, but he does have a tendency of making the balls fly, and sometimes playing a player like that, you come to the table and the balls are in interesting positions, and you know yourself, Peter. It's hard when you haven't been at the table for a while and you're faced with a tricky and off or a pot to get your arm going, but especially when the scoreboard shows that you're 400, 500, 600 behind.
You may not as well have come.
No.
So, yeah. So probably not unanticipated there. Dhruv Sitwala got up on Michael Pearson. Michael had a great start to the match.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Michael was actually, at one stage, he was over 100 points in the lead early, and I think Drew had a 200-odd break to establish a pretty commanding lead there and just went on with the job. A 280-odd break, Peter?
299.
299, so
yeah,
it was far off the mark, yeah.
Must have failed at the balkline.
Yeah, I think Michael's had a great tournament. He had a fantastic win in his 24
pool
match. Yeah. So I think
in
Michael's
the pool
done
match as well, he got up on Dwaj Harrier.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what pushed Dwaj into Matthew's match.
So I had the unpleasant experience of having both Michael and Dwaj in my group, and it was actually fantastic to see Michael
Tough
win
day
that
at
match.
the office. Yeah.
That's a really big scalp, and Michael showed a lot of confidence in my match after that, and he really demoralised me. But it was great to see Michael playing great and with some positivity. And
especially given Mike's circumstance. I mean, he's a family guy with who puts in a lot of hours at his day job. His family is his top priority for him, and Mike Russell's missing things that Mike Russell doesn't miss.
Yeah, look, they both missed a few in-offs now.
Yeah.
Left these balls straight.
Looks directly down the barrel of the TV camera with an accusatory tone there, Mike Russell.
Yeah.
As if to say, I told you there was something wrong with this table. Oh, slips by. Mike's thankful that happened. Mike Pearson, his top priority is his family, and he does not get a chance to practice much. He has a very natural gift, Michael. He's quite the sportsman, scratch golfer, and I think he does amazingly well within that last 16. You look at the other players, both these guys we're looking at have billiards for a living. Matthew, in Mike's case, tournaments and endorsements and coaching are his only form of income. In Matthew's case, he's in the trade, so he's selling equipment and tables and so forth. And this is really the centre of their lives. Not so in Michael's case.
Yeah.
Amongst the other players, looking down the list there are only a handful of players who are not looking at billiards as their full-time occupation in that last 16. Certainly all of the state-sponsored players.
Yeah.
All the players from Asian countries are state-sponsored, one way or another.
So we just saw that last shot there, the contact on the red ball. That's a good little screw shot there from Matthew. Yeah, both players are still taking their time we're half an hour into the match, and both players are still struggling with the throw of the table.
Yep.
This is a tricky little screwing off here. I think after a few easy misses by both players, whoever gets to the table next will really be focusing and not dwelling on their last couple of misses and really knuckling down now.
Playing the cannon here.
Yeah.
So today's matches, as a result of last night's Endeavours, or one last match from last night to discuss, and that was a comprehensive win to Peter Gilchrist over Jason Colebrook.
Yeah.
Jason again got out of the gates early, knocked in, and Peter and Jason are good friends, so there was quite a bit of laughter coming from that table and a few giggles. Jason knocked in 85, I think, and turned to Peter and said, "Are you worried?" and then missed.
Yeah.
So as soon as he'd opened his mouth, of course, the billiards gods took their revenge.
Yeah.
So our other matches on the other tables, and we will try and get some updates for you. These are just fantastic matchups. Oh, one
shot there,
final
Matthew.
match from last night we didn't talk about was, and to my mind, one of the most exciting finishes I've ever seen. Robbie Foldvari, 3 times Australian and 3 times world champion, was matched against one of the unheralded players from Myanmar, Nay Thwei U. And Robbie is a very deliberate player. He is known for occupying the table and dominating the mental side of the match. There are some great players this week who lost to Robbie because he's just so tough and so hard, and he did that against Nay.
Yeah.
He occupied the table for and at a critical time, for a break of 102, he occupied the table for nearly half an hour in the closing stages of that match. And it looked, he'd come from behind and he was leading Nay by 90 points.
Wow.
With, I would estimate, 4 minutes 50 seconds left on the clock. So Nay started literally running around the table, but he knew he was well behind, but wasn't sure of the score and wasn't sure of the clock.
Yep.
So was absolutely rushing, literally running between shots, but playing the tiniest, most delicate shots from side to side to side to side on the table. It was spectacular to watch. And those of us who could see the clock ticking down were thinking, he's not going to make it, he's not going to make it, he's not going to make it. Well, he made it. He actually passed Robbie, but was still rushing the shots.
Yep.
He didn't need to at that stage. He needed to slow down, take his time and be more deliberate. But he was still flying around the table. Now, any miss at that stage, Robbie's back in, and then
great pot there.
and then rushes to do the same thing back to him. So it wasn't until he actually crossed 100, and the bookline crossing was spectacular. He was tight on the bottom rail, with no angle to work on, but played a ferocious stun pot to push the ball into balk.
Yep.
And come back out again. Then and only then did he check the clock and realise that there were 10 seconds left and asked the ref to clean the white ball. I spoke to Matthew later and he said he thinks that was payback for having been held off the table by Robbie for so long. He was just going to use the last 10 seconds to clean the white ball.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that 100 break. It was a half an hour it took for the 100 break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Nay got exactly the same break in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. It was extraordinary to watch, and Robbie wasn't being deliberately slow in a gamesmanship sense, but he is a deliberate player. And has always had this style, whether he's ahead or behind.
Yep.
He's not time wasting. He is just being ultra cautious. And if you describe Robbie's game, you'd say he is entirely risk averse. He will not take on anything which is chancy. He'll take on the things that are certain. And if there's a question mark over the shot, he'll play something else.
So we just had a little nod of acknowledgement there from Mike in relation to Matthew's shot there. Yeah, just to put that in perspective, guys like Dave Corsier, Matthew Bolton, Peter Gilchrist, in half an hour of play, you'd expect those guys to be scoring, roughly about 400 points.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more, depending on where the balls are.
David certainly averages 800
Yep.
and a bit per hour. He's very, very fast, and that's his natural pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's his natural pace.
Yeah.
And players do want to play at their pace, not at their opponent's pace. I think
Yeah.
one of the things that you get sucked into in billiards is playing at a pace at which you're not comfortable.
And also over-analysing the shot too.
Yeah.
I think our brains are sort of, the first thing you do see is usually the right
Yeah.
shot, and
Paralysis by analysis,
Yeah.
they call that in golf.
I was actually chatting to someone yesterday. They were speaking of one of the Indian coaches who actually, preached that concept of not overthinking the shot.
Yes.
And India had a lot of very fast players, in the 70s and 80s, such as Subhash Agarwal, etc.
Yeah.
Very natural, flowing players. Very good to watch.
Yeah. Certainly from a spectator point of view, you'd rather watch a Corsi than somebody who's moving at a slower pace.
Yeah.
But players are not there to entertain, they're there to win.
Yeah. So Matthew's had a few tricky shots in this break, and he's just starting to get the balls into a workable position now.
Yes.
Just pushing Mike's ball near the pyramid spot, leaving himself a half balling off here. Be wanting to avoid this red ball.
I think he comes left-hand side of the
Yeah.
red ball with the half ball, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Should push it around into nice drop cannon position. And does.
So we haven't really seen either of the player get to perfect top of the table yet.
No.
I'm sure once one of them gets there, it's
Well, they are both dominant
Yeah.
top of the table players. It would be fair to say that Matthew has styled his top of the table on Mike Russell.
oh, absolutely.
He's
Yeah.
been a huge student of Mike's over
Yeah.
the years. And there is a mutual respect here and a little bit of needle as well. So they're both similar characters. They're both
Yeah.
dogged. They're both ferocious fighters. And don't like giving anything away to the opponent.
Well, at the end of the day, they're both champions, and they both want to win this match. And it's probably not a bad, way to look at the game. It's you're fighting to win the match, and having a little bit of dog in you, it doesn't hurt.
Yep.
I suppose that's one thing that separates a lot of the champions from mere mortals like ourselves, Peter.
Yeah. And I appreciate you putting me in your category, Graham.
Yeah.
Now, there's another aspect to this game which is fascinating, and that's the historical context of the game. And in fact, there's an article in our program about this match. We didn't know whether it would come off. We didn't know whether the match would actually happen because it's subject to what happens in the draw, but we'll talk about that shortly. In the meantime, we've got an update on one of the other tables. Rob Hall, a very fast scorer, is up against Saurav Kotari, and Rob leads Saurav 162 to 106. We can tell you that David Corsia is on 309. Sorry? And he's playing Nei Thwei U, and who's currently on the table, and we'll try and update that when that break is posted. He's just crossed the balk line, so he must be better than 100. These guys have been a surprise package, these boys from Myanmar, haven't
Oh,
they?
they have been. As a lot of the Asian players, they play a different game, Peter, and it's they play a lot of Karen sort of style shots,
Yes,
a lot of
yes,
cannons.
yes.
I first experienced one of the Asian players in the 2012 World Championships in Leeds, and we have a bad cover there for
Going
Matthew.
on from Matt. That will be end of break, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a shot here. He might construct something, but I can't see what it is.
There's probably no benefit here. Maybe try and push Mike's ball somewhat close to the red and get away from from the action.
Yeah, can you see a scoreable shot here?
The only thing I can see is off 4 cushions. That's what he's looking at now.
1,
His side.
2, 3, yeah.
So running
okay, that
left-hand
works.
side, close the angle down. It's a tricky shot though. If he misses, he's going to leave both balls at this end of the table.
Yeah. But there's no easy safety from here either, is there?
No, I think he'd be just running away and just
Get them away from each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good shot.
Matthew Bolton, 42.
Yeah. About all he could do.
Yeah, so I experienced. I think he was from Vietnam, the gentleman I played, and
Oh yeah.
I've double balked. At the start of the match, I've double balked him, and he scored off that shot, and he ended up scoring 78 points, pretty much just off running cannons in the balk area,
Yeah.
and hardly used the cushion.
Yes.
And Matthew Bolton was
I
watching
think
me.
I watched that.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary.
And Matthew Bolton's just shaking his head, laughing at me because I'd never experienced anything like it.
And those guys were playing behind their back, and it was like full trick shots.
Yeah.
Extraordinary stuff. They were fantastic. And the boys from Myanmar are in a similar vein. I played Pork Sar, never missed a 3 or 4 cushion cannon.
Yeah.
Didn't play a lot of pots, just all 3 and 4 cushion cannons.
Yeah.
A style I've not seen before, had shots I'd never seen or even imagined before. Really fantastic to watch. If there is any, if there are any Boxer matches in our streaming, and I don't know, haven't seen them all, I'd commend them to you. Watch this guy because he's got shots that you've never seen.
Yeah. So as yet in this match, we haven't seen either player really produce any billies to the standard they both usually produce. Both struggling with certain in-offs and missing some easy pots.
That one's gone wrong as well.
Yeah, so both players really struggling with the conditions this morning.
Well, they're both top of the table players, aren't they? And what we have to bear in mind is that every shot they're playing has really, obviously the first intention is to score, but it's got an underlying intention of promoting them towards the top of the table.
Yeah.
So by their own standards, they're failing to do that.
So
They haven't got the balls into workable position or positions where they can get to top. Yes, there's a score here. That's not the hard part. The hard part is figuring out how we get them to top from here.
So Mike's just lifted up that shot there. He was scratching his head a fair bit, and he's probably having a little giggle to himself here.
Yeah.
He contemplated the pot. Unfortunately, it's negative play, and that's something you don't really want you to get yourself into. But
Closes his eyes, looks to the heavens.
So hopefully that red's off the cushion just a little bit. He wants this ball to run a little bit more.
The red is off the cushion just a little bit.
There. There's still tricky little shots here. It's
Yeah.
just-
How much off the cushion Matthew's inspecting?
so utilising the whole width of that D there.
Yeah.
A very thin shot here. We're running side, a little bit of drag.
Which is not going to.
Yeah. Yeah, he's lucky there. He caught a little bit of the jaw.
Yeah. I've got to say it's not going to promote the red into a usable spot, and it hasn't.
So Matthew's faced with another tricky
Another
in-off
tricky
here.
one. So he's got to get that yellow near to that red to try and rescue it, or to play a long Jenny from hand. So he needs to get into hand
Yeah,
here.
he's overscrewed that.
And ends up with the pot, grimaces.
Yeah. Mike's had a little look to the crowd there.
Yep. Not working out for either of them,
No.
and there's a bit of a sense that whoever gets in and dominates early may well cause some psychological damage.
Matthew's got a tricky shot here. He's,
It is a tricky
yeah, you
shot.
gotta
He's got to play fine with running, so fine with check side.
played straight off the cushion, maybe like a double.
Yeah.
With a little bit left hand side. I know he's
He's
played
played the-
underneath.
oh, okay, that's clever. No, it's not
really.
that clever.
Yeah.
Red's near the cushion, so it's relatively easy for Mike. He can get it either direct or coming off the cushion.
Yeah.
Makes it a big fat target for him.
Yeah.
We'd expect him to score this and promote it to the pocket.
This is
It's just getting
yeah.
more and more horrible, isn't it? And he hasn't left Matthew anything easy. It's crazy how this is running.
So I've
against
just got
both
some
of them.
spectators walking in. Matthew's just took their tickets and took the $10 off them to watch.
That's it. Now wanted to talk about the history of this match. Have you read that article?
No, I haven't actually. I haven't
Have
had
a quick
chance.
read.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about that after you've finished that. Because it's a fascinating piece of billiards history that's unfolding before us right now. I'll just talk about the match and the shots. Again, nothing. Matthew hasn't left his ball in a scoreable position. Mike's come inside the standard half ball line, so he's going to have to play this one with left-hand side, check side. It's missable. I wouldn't expect him to miss, but it is missable. Does miss. But lined them up against Matthew. Fabulous thinning off from Matt. Matt's the last Australian left in the tournament.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, I suppose you could call it bloodlines, couldn't you?
Yeah, it is bloodlines, exactly right, and perhaps that's the right title for the article is bloodlines. So, what we're referring to is the kind of long history behind this match. And I'm going to give you a date. The date is the 17th of September, 1865, and in Australia we had a German immigrant by the name of Friedrich Lindrum. And Friedrich Lindrum had come out from Prussia to Australia via Plymouth. He'd been in England before that. And Friedrich established a business as a hotelier and winemaker in Adelaide's wine region, so he's based in Adelaide. On the other side of the world, John Roberts Sr. was the first recognised established world champion in billiards. And when it got a bit too cold to stay in England, he'd take a tour of the colonies and British possessions and made an awful lot of money, the equivalent of about 5 million Australian dollars, touring around the colonies and displaying his skills. When he got to Adelaide, they put on a challenge match between Friedrich Lindrum and the world champion. And that night, Friedrich beat John Roberts Sr. Friedrich was the father of Fred Lindrum, who was the father of Walter Lindrum. And that night, Friedrich's wife gave birth to Fred II. And that established both a bloodline, but also a dynasty, which has rivaled the Roberts dynasty ever since. So on these two guys that you're looking at here are just the latest version of a match which has been going on since the 17th of September 1865. John Roberts Jr. had a son John Roberts Sr. had a son, John Roberts Jr. John Roberts Jr. coached Tom Newman to several world championships. Tom Newman coached Jack Carnham. And Jack Carnham coached Mike Russell, the man sitting in the chair at the back of the table here. On the other side, Friedrich Lindrum coached Fred Lindrum, who coached Walter Lindrum, who coached Bob Marshall from Western Australia, who coached Matthew Bolton.
Yeah.
So here we have the entire history of our game laid out. Two different bloodlines, two different dojos, two different schools of play. meeting up for the umpteenth time over 150 years.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible to think that happened.
Yeah, not only are the players playing for the oldest World Championship trophy in the world, but also the dynasty.
It is the John Roberts Trophy, so they're actually playing for the naming rights to this very thing.
Yeah, just one of the spectators just asked about the struggle of players on both the streaming tables. And it is a morning session. The room is a little bit colder in the morning, so the tables are playing a little bit slower. We've noticed we've had some heavy contacts off the balls, and both players are missing their half ball and offs. I think now the room will be heating up a little bit, and I'm sure come the second sessions of these matches, we will see some far better billiards by both players on both the stream tables. So Matthew has got a good chance here to get to the top of the table. So we're roughly just under an hour into this match, and neither player has really established a commanding
These are
lead.
looking like club standard scores, aren't they? 190 to 144. They're not looking like Matthew Bolton versus Mike Russell.
Yeah, I'll just note too that this is the earliest time the players have actually started a match during this tournament too.
Yes.
So obviously the body's just waking up and getting used to hitting balls for the day.
I think both Matt and Mike are night owls rather than morning people, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mike certainly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, obviously the international players are dealing with the time differences, but also Matthew too, being a local from WA.
Yes.
This match started at 9:30.
6:30 Perth time.
6:30 Perth time. So, the natural body clocks do take their toll on the players.
Yeah, it's a wonderful observation.
Yeah. So for a lot of these international players, it'll feel like evening to some of them. So Matthew once again just getting a little extension out the little mini butt here.
So this is really the first chance that we've had for either of these players to
and that shot
to
there,
dominate.
Matthew's really flirted with the pocket there.
And this could forget what the scores are now. Who are you tipping to win this?
It's an interesting one. I think speaking to Matthew, he's obviously determined to produce on his home soil. And we all know how driven Matthew is. We know Mike hasn't really produced his best billiards yet, and he's had a few close matches throughout the week. Matthew's obviously dominated his matches. So I'm really tipping Matthew here, Peter.
I am too. I don't think we've seen the best of Mike probably for a couple of years. I think his last great match was probably against Pankaj Advani in Qatar in 2015.
Yeah.
Since then, I don't know that he's had that exquisite touch at top, and I think he has suffered from a lack of match play and match practice. Players like Corsia, and he's based in Sri Lanka now, so he's not even playing in the UK home tournaments.
Yeah.
So he's playing less tournament play, and also I'm told he doesn't have a practice facility in Sri Lanka. So coming across here, he's probably playing a fraction of the billiards that the others are playing.
Yeah.
And it's tough at the top. It's always been tough at the top.
Yeah, the thing is, though, Mike's been there. He's done it all. He is the pinnacle of the sport, and the history speaks for itself. What he's done in the sport, and
yes.
Realistically, look, Mike's got nothing to prove. He's been there and done that, and
he's climbed the mountain many times.
Look, I'm sure Mike's just happy to play in these events as a bit of an ambassador for the sport, and giving some of the fans just a glimpse of the champion he used to be and still is.
Mm.
See that heavy contact there?
Sitting on the ball.
Yeah. So this is the problem that we have.
Shrug of the shoulders. So that the balls haven't separated the way that Matt wanted. It's just stuck on there.
Yeah. So I dare say Matthew will be coming off the side cushion here. There's not much you can do. He was looking to see if
I
it's
don't know
touching.
that he's got an angle for the side cushion, has he?
Yeah, I think he'll be playing it off 2 cushions. So I don't think we're hitting the red.
Dan, have we got the other camera angle on this? Yeah, it's not onto the side cushion we're looking at,
No.
and I don't think it's onto the side cushion at the other end
Yeah,
either.
I think he'll be hitting the 2 cushions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think he can make a cannon. Well,
No, without a cannon, just
without
the
a
pot
cannon,
red. Yeah.
right? Just
the pot red.
right. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be too hard to play it off one cushion direct. And obviously the angle coming off that cushion is a natural angle to get back. So he might be putting a touch of left-hand side on his, maybe.
So he's playing the red. He's ignoring the yellow
Yeah,
for the
so
time
there's
being.
the second cushion. That's a great
Makes
shot.
it what a great shot.
Yeah.
What a great shot.
So what he did there, Peter, was they're too hard a shot to judge off one cushion, and obviously
Yeah.
taking that second cushion gives you the natural angle to pot the
Yes,
red.
yes. And come up.
Yeah, and come
But
up
again,
too.
he's been left a bit of a conundrum.
Yeah, so he might come off the back cushion here, Peter, just touching
Or-
the yellow.
Yep. You give it to you, Grant. You know his game pretty well. You've been watching him a while.
Yeah. So this is a tricky shot. He put a touch aside that, just to make sure of the shot.
So really, he would have had a balkline warning now too at 84,
Yeah.
and it's not comfortable to cross the balkline from where he is. If he had them tight at top,
Yeah.
he would do the Mike Russell style 5 cushion get out, but he's going to have to create something.
Yeah, look, he's still got 14 points here that should generate a shot. He's got quite an easy, Steve Misford will call it a mini drop cannon.
Yes.
So I'll be interested to see if he tries to land on the left-hand side of the red here or
Yes.
play underneath the red.
Yes. No, he hits it
just
full.
make sure. That's okay.
So well, he's delaying.
Yeah.
Delaying the crossing attempt. Eventually, if he's going to do it the traditional way, he'll have to get further to the top of the table than the red, so he'll have the red higher up the table at top like this.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got it there yet.
No. He might not
He
punch
needs
around the
more
table.
angle.
It's the yellow's just sitting there, so he doesn't have to play with much pace to get in the ball. He might not. I know he's playing this fairly soft. I know he's
Here's the crossing
wow,
here.
okay.
Wow.
That was
Okay.
unexpected from there.
Yep. Managed to generate it. We were just saying that he didn't have the right angle.
Yeah,
He's forced an angle there with power and right hand side.
yeah. So here's a tricky shot here. He might have to play the cannon with a touch of left-hand side. With these sliding cushions, it's always a difficult shot there. So he's put a touch aside on this, and he's played that well. So
He's
Matthew,
there, but he's not under tight control, but he's approaching 100.
Yeah. So Matthew now with a 104-point lead. With 2 hours of play left, that's not a big lead. You just hear the buzzer going off in the background for the first ladies matches. So a great opportunity here for Matthew, who's now got the red in a very potable position. And obviously the opponent's ball, he's just looking at where he wants to leave the cue ball here at some stage to move the opponent's ball back behind the spot.
I might send a runner in to get some
Yep.
score updates
Yes.
of the ladies' matches. I know you have an interest in that one,
Yeah.
those ones as well. So if you can hold the fort here for
No,
a
no
moment,
problems, Peter.
Grant,
Thanks very
I'll
much.
see if I can recruit
Cheers.
George Chalmers to write down some scores for us.
Yep. So Matthew played that red well to knock the opponent's ball a little bit close to the spot. Not ideal at the moment. This is the first real break of this match. very important that Matthew gets a lot of table time here and establishes a healthy lead with both players struggling. So once again, Matthew just underhit that a little bit straight on this red. He would have liked a little bit more angle to come back out again. So be forced to play a bit of screw here. He's looking to screw back onto the top side of the yellow and play a cannon back towards the spot area. He doesn't want to contact the opponent's ball here on his screw shot. So you might see Matthew's cue rise a little bit here to get a bit of bite on the ball. So Matthew's just hitting down on the ball here.
16.
He's just made sure of the cannon. So the break moves to 116 points. You can see a screw shot sending the red ball around the table.
118.
He wants this to travel a little bit. As I said, the tables are playing a little bit slower this morning due to the temperature of the room. And it looks like Matthew will be playing a similar shot once again, unless he's got the fine in off on Mike's ball. Another good little opportunity here for Matthew to leave a drop cannon and back into top of the table play. Little kiss on the red there. You see Matthew just gestured he didn't want that kiss. Both the balls are in a tricky position here. Yeah, play this very fine with a lot of right hand side. See, it's almost, I know he's playing the in off. Yeah. So he might get the draw here a little bit, just to slow the red down. Yeah. No.
Not a good draw, that one. To online viewers in Sydney, Grant and I say hello. Well, to our online viewers everywhere, but since we're from Sydney, we probably know more of those folks.
Just wants this yellow to avoid the top pocket there. That was a really good in-off,
Yes.
considering the struggles both players have had. Matthew had to do a lot there to throw that ball into the pocket.
Looking at the inside shot here, so
Yeah.
he'd be playing inside the red with right-hand side.
Yeah, that's pretty fine.
It's very fine, makeable because the cushions slide a
Yeah.
bit, but not easy.
No.
And here he's got to play the opposite spin, try and bring the ball back off the top cushion. Oh no, got it fine. Well
Yeah.
played. Just not coming right for either
No.
player. It sometimes happens like this. Some days, no matter what you do, how badly you hit them, they
Yeah.
go into good angles and good positions.
Yeah.
Other days, crappy positions from nothing.
So screw cannon here, be relying on a bit of luck for an outcome. So he's just played with enough pace to not do too much of the red. He was in a good position to leave a pot or an in off. So playing a little in off here.
Ladies' match is just about to start. I know Anna's got Catherine Prescott to start with.
Okay, she I think she just had a match
Yep.
with the Tasmanian lady, Kylie Bellinger.
Okay.
So Matthew just pushing the red towards the top cushion here, leaving a drop cannon.
Pretty grueling program for the girls today, isn't it? There's no
Yeah.
real breaks.
Yeah, they've obviously got 4 1-hour pool matches today, and then tonight they've got the 1 hour, half-hour semi-final, and then the final, which starts at 6:40 tonight. So anyone that wants to come down to the club and wants to see the semi-final of the men's, but also the final of the ladies,
Yes.
come down and have a look.
They say that oftentimes the second last day of a tournament is the best day to turn up. You tend to see it's a little bit like Wimbledon. You see the men's semi-finals and the ladies' final. So it's a great day. Got Anna Lynch just joining us now. How was your first match, Anna? What was the score? But you got up. Well done. Well done you. And we have a score update.
So just got a score update. Thanks to George Chamis for providing us with that score update. So Peter's just going to read out some update scores. For all the
Okay,
matches.
the latest news from the other tables. Peter Gilchrist leads Dhruv Sitwala 280 to 223. Scores, Peter's roughly where Matt is, so it'd be fair to say that neither of them has had much of a running either. Rob Hall currently leads Saurav Qatari 205 to 165, but Saurav is at the table and is on a 90 break, so that needs to be added to his 165. So in fact, by the time we do that, he is leading by some 50 odd. David Corsia in a typically high scoring match. David Corsia is leading Nay Thwei U from Myanmar 435 to 315. So Nay's motoring as well. In fact, in that match, both David Corsia and Nay Thwei U have a higher score than anybody on the other table. So despite the fact that David will have been dominating the table time, Nay is still scoring very quickly. So interesting. We've got a couple of low scoring matches and a couple of very high one very high scoring match. So Mike at table now. This is a position from which we've seen him make big numbers in the past. Let's see if he can respond to Matthew's opening blow.
Yeah. There's some interesting scores there, Peter, in the other matches, especially David Corsia and Nathan. It's
I mean, an hour in, you've got really, club level scores between Rob Hall and Saurav.
Yeah.
205. That's a score you and I could make in an hour.
Absolutely.
And that's leading 165, which is a score that a B grader might make.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of a feeling out period here. Perhaps some nervousness. I'd expect the scores will accelerate from here. But then on the other table, David Corsia, who always rattles in big numbers, no matter what, 435 to 315 against Nay. But the surprising number there is how many Nay's got when David's obviously sucking up all the table time.
Yeah, this will be interesting because realistically this is the first time David's had any pressure put on him during this event. And it'd be interesting to see how he copes with that. Especially from an unknown player to Dave, I dare say too. Dave wouldn't have really come across a few of these players from Myanmar too often.
No. With the exception of Pankaj, do you think that in fact these are the best 8 in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just having a look at the names there, and look, they've all got fantastic history in the game lately. So look, I can't really think of any other players who didn't really play in this tournament. But maybe Martin Goodwell would be another player.
Maybe.
But Martin's
maybe Geet Sethi, but Geet's coming back.
Yeah.
He hasn't produced anything for a little while.
Yeah.
So I think with the exception of Pankaj, who had an unfortunate draw to meet up with Saurav, you might have expected him in a normal world to... There's another typical Mike Russell shot where he doesn't even move that ball. It's extraordinary. Little double kiss. Tougher this time. Has to screw back to make the cannon.
Red.
And in doing so loses the red. So I have to re-rescue them for top.
Yeah. An interesting
And he
point.
shakes his head, doesn't like this.
One of the viewers, Q-Master, just mentioned the conditions suit David Causey's play, and that's probably not a bad...
That's a good observation.
Yeah, because I think with Dave's fluent all-round play, I think Dave's play is more adaptable, to many conditions.
Absolutely.
And David's played in many parts of the world, and he's always produced big breaks. So that's a good point. A lot of these players are very, they're fine-tuned to their style of game, and they do take a bit longer to adapt to different conditions. And we've seen that this morning.
Yes.
With Mike, Matthew, and obviously on the other streaming table too.
Yeah, I mean, even Peter Gilchrist only at 280.
Yeah.
He's another fast player.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fair to say that in terms of precision, as precision players, the two we're looking at now are the two best in the world.
Absolutely.
Others have a more open style and a more creative style in some ways, but if these guys get them tight at top, then the balls hardly move, and I think they're the two most precise players in the world.
Yeah. So something's happening in the room here. Matthew's just might make a bit of movement.
They're looking around.
Yeah. 17 minutes left in his session. I think the other thing Matthew will be thinking about here is obviously holding the table, and it's a very important...
And taking a big lead into the break.
Taking a big lead, 300 odd points, into the break. And, going into the break at the table, knowing you're coming back to the table with a healthy break and a healthy lead. So
and that preys on your opponent's mind during
does,
the break too, doesn't it? I mean, Mike, who's already under pressure he's put on himself, will now be under additional pressure during the break of knowing that not only does he have to play well, he has to catch up a deficit on the score as well. Now, I thought he set that a bit wide when he set that.
Yeah, Todd Haywood, he's made a good point there. With Javaj Harrier, we haven't included in our 8 there.
That's true.
With his recent record, that's a good point.
But who do you take out?
Exactly.
Who do you take out? I mean, Nay actually has a better record in the Asian Championships than Douage. We talk about Douage as an up-and-comer, but in truth he hasn't actually won anything.
Yeah.
He's a fantastically talented player, but Nay actually has more medals in Asian games, I think, than Douage. So I don't know who you take out.
Yeah, that's a good point, Peter. It's
you take out, if you were adding in Punkers, you'd take out Nay Thweu. But outside of that, I think we've got.
Yeah, I mean, even the guys who haven't won world titles in that list there's been a few runner-ups between them.
Oh yeah.
Obviously Rob, Surav, and Matthew.
They've been thereabouts.
They've been thereabouts. They've been in finals of world titles before.
Yep.
It's an interesting debate, Peter. It's
well, not one that you and I are going to be involved in, but we'll leave that to the viewers online to discuss. Not coming right for Mike.
No, it's I think Mike would just be happy to be back at the table here.
Yep, absolutely. Is this a thinning off? It's a run through.
No, he's playing a run through. He's played through a few of those shots I've noticed this week, and he plays them quite well. He
hasn't come out as far as he wanted. Now he's got something. He's got a very narrow pot.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do too much here. Just run through and he's
expect he'll make it. He's got the half ball laying up, hasn't he?
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. Yep.
That's interesting.
And this one isn't going to work either. Oh, this must be driving him nuts.
Yeah. Matthew's just having a look at the crowd, and I don't think Matthew knows what's going on either. He's.
Well, I think what's happening is that the Crikey, that was close. I think what's happening is that the girls are setting up on the other table,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so there's a bit of noise and
Yeah.
confusion while those matches get going.
So you can see the concentration there
Great shot
from
there.
Mike. That's a great shot.
Wasn't a natural.
Yeah, big sigh.
Yeah,
big sigh there.
yeah, blows out the cheeks and says, "Whew, thank you so much."
Yeah.
Now he's got the white in good shape here, so he should be trying to get this into position
Yeah,
to
be
develop the red.
bring it in front of the red and playing a natural half ball here. Got a good opportunity to get the top of the table
Yeah.
here, Peter.
Yeah,
Might be putting a touch of running side on this,
Yeah.
maybe.
push the white behind the spot,
Yeah.
promote red to the corner.
Yeah,
Oh, gets behind it again.
yeah,
It's all right,
that's okay.
not too bad. Could have been worse.
So, I
Come
guess
up a little low there.
yeah, he would have liked to have been a little bit higher and left a straight run through and getting low on that on Matthew's ball. So he's just electing to push the opponent's ball towards the pocket here and leaving it in off. Wants this to come a little bit more.
Running side in off. So hitting it straightishly.
That's one thing I've noticed with Michael. He's these close little shots he plays. He almost guides the ball with his head, as he plays the
Yes,
shot. It's one
yes.
thing I've noticed over the years.
Corsia too. After
Yeah.
he's hit the ball, his head
Follows the
follows the
direction.
line of the shot.
Yeah.
Um,
And both players are from a similar part of the UK. It's something they must teach there, Peter. Maybe that's what we're doing wrong.
yeah, that's right.
Doesn't want this.
No,
That's not
drops
too bad.
it.
That's
It's
fine.
okay,
He's on the
sitting
line.
Close to the cross
Yeah.
loser line, and just have to use a little
We know
left-hand
issues
side here.
So great camera shot there. You can see the beautiful team work on this table.
Tulip wood. Somebody
Tulip
asked
wood.
last night
Yeah.
what it is. It's tulip wood. It's one of. It has a twin, so it's 140 years old, which makes it just a little younger than the John Roberts Trophy, and it's one of two with consecutive table numbers from Alcox. And its twin is owned by Andrew Ricketts.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew Ricketts. Andrew Ricketts, obviously the author of Walter Lindrum Billy's Phenomenon.
Yep, Walter's biographer.
Yeah. Yeah. Andrew was here yesterday, I believe.
He is, and he's going to do some commentary for us later on,
fantastic.
which would be great. He's writing another book,
Oh, okay.
and he's got the draft of some of the chapters already. I'm sworn to secrecy, but
Yep.
it's no surprise that it's about Walter.
Yes.
And it's a different take. The first book, I think, was very factual about documenting Walter's results. And this, I think, delves more into the personal life
Personal life. Okay. Interesting.
and the mentality.
Yeah.
So it's quite a different take. It's still on Walter, but it's at a more human level.
Yeah, I'm sure. For many people who obviously know the history and the records of Walter's game, it'd be a great insight into the personal life and what made the man who he was. It's
Yeah, we were talking about. I was talking with Andrew about the great tragedy in Walter's life too. And if Andrew comes in, we might get him to talk about that. I think it's really one of the most poignant stories in world sport, and I've always felt that there's a movie in that Rosie Coates story.
I was actually about to say that. It's,
Yeah. Andrew feels the same.
Yeah.
So, I mean, somebody should be writing the screenplay for this, because it is one of the most poignant and tragic stories, a romance in world sport. So, anyway, we'll see if we can get Andrew to talk about that.
So, as the balls are fairly close together, we've got a very observant Eric Worsley who's just poked his head in behind the commentary box.
Go Nurseries.
Yeah, go Nurseries. Obviously, Eric, one of the writers of the Cushion Crawlers Bible.
Yeah.
with Matt Grinkowitz.
And probably the world's, I'm going to say the world's last English billiards authority on nursery cannons. I mean, it's part of the European game.
Yeah.
But our cushions throw a bit differently, our balls react a little differently.
Yeah.
And Eric's one of the last masters of nursery cannons.
Is it true, Peter? I heard in the 2002 World Titles in Sydney at Mount Pritchard Club that both Mike and Peter actually got some lessons off Eric on nursery cannons. Is there any truth to that rumour?
No, I believe that's true, and I know that in '98, when the IBSF was held here, the Indian players were queued up to see Eric. I watched him coaching all the Indian players at the time.
So we've 7 minutes to go in this session, and Mike's got a handy little break. He's only trailing by 36 points.
Yeah.
And 34
which is
now.
just what he wanted. We were concerned just 10 minutes ago that he'd be going to the break with a deficit approaching 200, but it's not looking like that. It's looking like we come back to a battle.
Yeah, so with 7 minutes left.
A battle for the ages.
He could go into the break with a 60-odd point lead and still have the table. And I think Matthew's had plenty of opportunities to establish some decent breaks, and he'd be pretty disappointed in his session, as would Mike.
Yep. Neither of them will be happy with. But I think both will count themselves lucky that the other hasn't got away from them.
Exactly. The players will have a quick break, and
how long is the break?
I think 15 minutes.
Not much.
So not long.
Cup of coffee and a wee.
Yeah.
Balk line crossing here. Now this is a shot that's worried Mike on this table. Now that's come up okay, thank God.
Yeah, what they're finding is, Peter, obviously playing off the numerous cushions, each time the ball hits a cushion, it's straightening up a little bit, and it's not hitting that last cushion before the top cushion, and they're losing it into the top pocket.
Yes.
So what's happening is a lot of the players are, being forced to play run through shots where the red ball is actually covering the opponent's ball from in hand.
Yes. Now this looks like more classical
93.
Mike Russell.
So it's a tricky little shot here. He's elected to bring the opponent's ball back off the cushion. There's a little bit of danger there.
Yep, that did not work out. So now got to dig down with a PK.
Push this down the table. Wants to leave it below the centre pocket. That's okay. He's still got a drop cannon
for a pot.
Yeah. So with
got
those
a drop
shots,
cannon, but he's got to re-establish, doesn't he?
Yeah. So you've always got the backup of the drop cannon. These can go wrong with covers.
Or kisses.
Or kisses.
Now, what? So Mike would not be happy with having to go away from top. There's lots of breaks that he's made where neither the red nor the opponent's ball get any higher than the pyramid spot. Most of his best breaks, the only ball that crosses the balk line is his ball. Every 100 points.
Yep.
So he considers this to be loose play.
So he'll be wanting to avoid the pot here of Matthew's ball and obviously make the cannon.
So in off and just,
Yep, so he has caught the draw there. Still not perfect, so he'll be playing another in off white here.
Little skinny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got to load it up with check side. Okay.
Just making sure he didn't push Matthew's ball too far on the table.
Pushes his cheeks out again. It hit the close jaw. Only just made it.
So it's definitely a struggle out there at the moment.
Yep.
That's a great shot.
That is a great shot. Now he's got them into
so
workable
he's just going to check
position.
the angle here for the return cannon back to the from Matthew's ball to the red.
Yes. What Matthew calls the correcting cannon.
Correcting cannon. So he might be playing his fairly plain ball just run through a little bit. And he'll be bringing Matthew's ball back to the spot.
Yes.
So he might have a touch of right-hand side on this.
Yep. Just wants to be on the high side of the red, so
Yeah,
come
so
down.
once it hits the red here, rotate off the red like that.
Yep. Perfect.
And Mike's back into perfect position to continue the break.
Now, and he takes a pause at this time to clean the red ball. He does spend a lot of time cleaning the red ball.
Yeah.
And sometimes asks for the red ball from the opponent, from the referee.
Yeah.
And then gives it an extra polish on his vest.
Yeah, I think Mike's well aware of the importance of this break, and he's just gone back to his chair to just regain his composure. And with only 3 minutes left in the session, he'll obviously be looking at holding the table at the buzzer.
Yep. Now this is perfect and classical Russell. The question is, can he be Mike Russell right now?
23.
So even from that place where he's quite close to red, he knocks it even closer.
Yeah.
And he's hating that. Oh, he's hating that.
That just sprung off. That's right. He looks right at us then, and
It looks right down the barrel of the camera.
Yeah.
He thinks that there's a fault with the table.
yeah. I think he'll be okay here. He's got the red on the pyramid spot.
He's anxious.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's disappointing, and
shakes the head.
that really sprung off the cushion there. So
Yeah.
Matthew just giving the cue a quick towel down, and Matthew will be well aware there's only 2 minutes left in this session, and
But Mike is not liking this at all.
so he doesn't want this to land on the spot.
It does land on the spot. So if the red is pocketed, it comes back to exactly
Yeah.
where it's sitting right now, onto the pyramid spot.
That's okay. He's got the natural enough here to leave the drop cannon, and I'm
Yep.
sure that
And shift it.
Mike's ball will be off the spot in 1 shot's time.
Yep.
So that's a little
Not
bit wide,
quite
that angle there.
not quite where he wants it, a
Yeah.
bit wide.
So he missed one of these shots earlier, Peter, where coming underneath the ball near the spot. Be interested to see how he goes here. So he's just flirted with the edge there.
Just. And still not easy.
Yeah. He's got a fairly big target to screw off the yellow here. Obviously aiming on the left-hand side of the red with the backup of the cushion and the red. So it's a fairly big target. See there? He's just that's the side of the red to hit. And that yellow ball's landed in a great spot there to continue the break on.
So pot.
He might elect to play up towards the centre pocket here, Peter, and leave the cross loser and have both balls. We'll see what he does.
So stunning up.
Yeah, he's just playing another pot here. I think at some stage he probably can hear the buzzer going in the background there. He might take his time on this shot and run out the time.
If the buzzer does go now,
Yeah.
then we've got
This might be too
almost
straight.
almost matching scores
Yeah.
as they go in for a cup of
Yeah.
coffee and a good lie down.
So there we are. There's the first session concluded.
Wow,
Matthew,
6 points in
yeah, 6
unbelievable.
points. So Matthew will be at the table on the return with one potted red already off the spot, and with a slight lead to Mike Russell. It's an interesting session, Peter. A lot of struggles.
Fascinating. And there's Eric Worsley in the background in the
Yep.
black jumper. The nursery cannon maestro.
Yeah.
And we've got the ladies going here. That's Catherine Prescott at the table in the all black. Not a regular billiards player.
Fantastic room here, Peter. Look at that venue. It's plenty of room between the tables.
Yes.
The ambience in the room is fantastic. It's just got a history about it.
Yep.
A lot of memorabilia in the room.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So
Okay,
we're just
well,
gonna
we might
quick
take a break.
Yeah. And
And we'll come back.
stay tuned. 15 minutes time, we'll be back on again with a second session of Mike Russell
Terrific.
versus Matthew Bolton.
Cheers.
It's 30 years actually to this year since I won my first world title in Lura in New South Wales. So it's very nice to be back, yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, the tables in the room are fantastic. They're probably the best that we've played on as a group of tables for a long, long time. Very consistent tables, all of them, you know, lovely. Well, Matthew, he's multiple-time Australian champion, great player. David Cozier, wonderful player, made a 600 yesterday in a 40-minute game. It's incredible. Peter Gilchrist's good. You know, Devaj Harrier's good. You know, there's no easy games really. Once you get to the last 16, last 8, it's very tough. Well, I'm starting to hit a bit of form. I mean, I'm getting a bit old now for the concentration side of it, but yeah, it's going all right, you know. I don't know. There's a few players capable of doing it. You know, it is odds against, I know it is, because it's a concentration factor more than anything to get to 1,000, because I know it takes a long time, so. But no, it's doable, it is doable, but again, you gotta be right on the day, you know.
So the trophy was manufactured by John Barnard and Sons of London. It's 90 ounces of solid silver, originally gilded, but over the years the gilding has worn off. And this is the first time that the trophy has travelled outside the United Kingdom and come to Australia for the championship. It's a very historic trophy. It's the oldest trophy in the world for a world championship. It predates the claret jug for the British Open, and it even predates the Wimbledon men's singles trophy, both of which are some years younger than this trophy. It's had a storied career, won by all the great champions over the years, and we're delighted to have it here in Australia for presentation to the 2019 World Billiards Championship here at the RACV Club in Melbourne, Australia.
I'm George Taylor. I'm Managing Director of Alcock's, the most well-known billiard table company in Australia. Henry Alcock arrived in Melbourne in 1853 and shortly thereafter set up a little cabinet making shop in Fitzroy. They've been here in Melbourne making billiard tables for 160 years. Today, most of the traditional major clubs have a billiard room, and the billiard room features an Alcock table. We are producing a product that stands quite happily on the world stage. This game is so demanding that precision is a very, very important factor. It has an important bearing on which timbers are selected for the making of a billiard table. It has a very important bearing on the jointing of those timbers as the table is put together. It has a very important bearing on the way we treat the issue of the billiard table slate. We have developed ourselves machinery particularly focused on the question of making sure that the billiard table slate is ground and honed to a higher level than you'll find anywhere else in Australia. The cushion work must be carried out so that the height of the cushion is exactly what is required for the size of the ball. The pocket openings of the cushions have also got to be adhered to strictly. Even the cloth is fitted in the traditional way, which is the correct way if you're going to play a high level or a championship level of English billiards or snooker. Our family company, which is Australian owned and operated, is producing a level of product that not only is regarded as the best in Australia, but is regarded highly right throughout the billiards and snooker world.
At Reed Furniture, we guarantee better results for students with our Learniture range of ergonomic school furniture. We have more than 50 years of experience in designing educational furniture solutions. Reed also offers a range of flexible, modular furniture which is easy to reconfigure. Transform the classroom from a collaborative learning space to a workshop or an instructor-led environment within minutes. What's more, everything comes with a 10 years warranty.
Yeah, well, we last held the World Professional Championship here in 1930.
I'm not too sure. So welcome back to the second session of the quarterfinals of the 2019 World Billiard Championships held at the RACV Club. Back to the action here. Very close game so far. With Matthew at the table. Both players have had great opportunities to knock in some big breaks, but they both struggled with some tricky shots. I just had a quick chat with a couple of the players during the break. Spoke to Surav and David Causey in relation to the table conditions, because we haven't really seen much in terms of high breaks so far, and they both put it down to basically the pressure of the quarterfinal matches and obviously playing some great players. So both players have said that actually the tables are fantastic at the moment. So a bit of nerves, and it's good to see that they are human and do feel nerves, these players.
Yes.
So welcome back, Peter. We're just started the second session.
Got some score updates for you, Grant. I know you have an interest in the ladies' matches, and I can tell you that Anna Lynch is dominating Catherine Prescott. I think the scoreline reads 90-2, and that could have been an Anna foul. So,
yeah.
So it's early days still, but Anna is certainly dominating. But there's another dominant player out there too, Judy Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Has scored 140 to her opponent's 26, Michelle Hansen. So, and I spoke to Judy earlier. She has been working on this. She's been getting coaching from Tad Babiak and Frank Dewins in South Australia.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, she represents something of a threat to Anna.
Yeah.
Anna is a clear-cut favourite for this. She's played in the men's event here. But Judy's been working on a game, and Judy is a tremendous natural cueist. Took the game up quite late in life, but was blessed with a wonderful stance and cue action, which has stood her in good stead. And she's a quick learner. So I'm predicting a Judy-Anna final. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I know Anna's got a lot of respect for Judy's game. Anna's played Judy before and in the Australian Championships, and Judy's a fast improver in the game of billiards, and I know, knowing Anna quite well, she definitely loves a challenge, and she'd be
up for this.
Yeah, absolutely. She loves competitive play, she loves competing, and she'd be the first person to be well happy to have some tight competition.
So Matt would prefer to be about half an inch higher here. So he could have run through to play the recovery cannon.
Yeah.
But can't do that, so he's actually tapped the table where he wants that ball. Playing the, so red goes to the middle spot, playing the in off the yellow. Promoted up towards the mid-pocket loser.
Yeah. So during the break, Matthew would have got some fresh air. Just analysed the first session. I'm sure he would have had a chat to, if David Collins was around, he probably would have had a chat to David and got a bit of an insight of what the tables are doing and a bit of feedback.
David's the kind of guru here, isn't
absolutely,
he?
Yeah.
He's old enough to be considered a sage.
Yeah.
And he's got a tremendous competition track record, 3 Australian Championships, I think.
So a good opportunity for Matthew to push this Mike's ball below the spot here and
make the cannon.
Yeah.
A little narrow on the red, but the cushion slides down, presents it nicely.
You'll be happy with that.
Might surprise the angles that the balls are coming off the cushions for the club players. These are sliding cushions, and it happens when you have a new cloth.
Yeah. Yeah, not only the angles the cushions take, but also the actual natural half ball throw off the object ball. We tend to be a bit wider in the vision you see here today, to
Certainly
what you
pace.
experience in your club.
Certainly at pace. And the ball, it doesn't turn on the cloth, but it turns more off the ball.
It does, yeah.
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 So as you strike a ball down table or up table towards the top, the pots run true. You don't have to make an allowance for the nap. The balls don't turn on the cloth, but they turn off each other much more than you used to. Matthew doesn't like that.
No, he's
touching the cushion.
he's left Mike's ball on the cushion there, and obviously risks a double kiss. He's playing this quite fine with a lot of run inside. He's playing below centre.
Might be
He's checking it
even
up.
playing the
Okay.
double kiss.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. He's just making sure of that contact there.
Yeah.
That's not a bad way to play it, actually. So a great little start for Matthew here. He hasn't quite got the balls at the top of the table, but you know, he's starting to establish a little lead, only on 62 at the moment. I'm sure Matthew will be wanting to capitalise on this break and knocking in a couple of hundreds here. I think we'll see some more flowing billiards in the second half of this session.
I think that's right.
Both players have had an hour and a half to get used to the conditions. And
Now some updates from the other men's quarterfinalists. Great players, one and all here. So it would not surprise you to know that nobody's running away with these, but Peter Gilchrist at the break led Dhruv Sidwala 410 to 493. Saurav Qatari leads Rob Hall 407 to 214, and Rob was dominant yesterday against Ryan Mears and is playing well, so that would be an indication that Saurav is even more dominant. In the final match, as the scoreboard read, Nei Thwei U led David Corsier 473 to 437. However, David Corsier has 170 to be added to that, as he is at table now, still on a break, and has them. Doesn't really matter where David has them, does it? David's at table, so it just doesn't matter where David has them, but they are at top. So the total, when they restarted play, adding David's position on, was Corsier 607, Nei Thwei U 473.
yeah, I had a quick word to David just before he started the second session, and he said the tables are running beautiful, and he was in the middle of a big break, and he expects to go on with it and produce a big break here.
The 1,000 break is looking further and further away. We haven't seen a 700 break.
Yeah.
We haven't seen an 800 break.
Yeah.
So that 1,000 is looking further away. I saw the David Corsier interview last night, where he felt that the 1,000 was more likely to happen in the group stages than the knockouts.
Yeah,
because of the pressure of having to win the game here.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept. I mean, hour and a half for the pools, and then obviously we move into the 3-hour matches now, and the 4-hour matches. Obviously the object of billiards is to win a match, and that's done by scoring big breaks. So it's an interesting philosophy that Dave's got there. I would have thought that the semi-finals tonight. Yeah, the semi-finals tonight. You know, the players have had 3 hours on the tables this morning, and coming into a semi-final tonight, I would have expected some large breaks tonight. The cream's starting to rise to the top now, and there's no excuses really for these guys. They're all massive break builders. So that's a bit of a loose shot there from Matthew. He couldn't really do much there, and relying on a bit of luck. So he might be faced with a long run-through cannon here.
Be fair to say with both of these players that you can read their emotion on their face and on their shoulders.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They're both quite
play with
expressive.
their hearts on their sleeves, so to speak.
Yeah.
He might be looking at a pot yellow here too, maybe.
I don't know what he's playing.
He might be thin cannon.
Thin cannon off the cushion.
It's a tough shot.
Allowing for the
I'll
slide.
tell you what, that's not a bad
That's a
attempt.
great effort.
And he's left his cue ball on the cushion here.
Yeah, okay. Mike's got a
Yeah.
yellow cushion, red option.
Yeah, he'll be playing off 2 cushions here and trying to push the red out towards the centre of the table.
So just a little bit of power required here and some left-hand side.
So underneath this red, and
yes,
that's not a bad result.
Not a great result.
No.
The white's gone to the dead zone, but
Might run through a little bit and play in off the white after this shot. Okay. Yeah, that's he's looking very uncomfortable, Mike, isn't he?
he's looking a bit surly.
Yep. So with the red ball on the back cushion there, Matthew might elected to pot Mike's ball here and leave Mike a double balk. With a slender lead, obviously you don't want to risk too many fancy shots and leave your opponent up. So that's the correct play there from Matthew at this stage of the match. So he's just left his cue there, he's overhit that.
Well, he's got a bit too much red, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's pushed the red into an unscorable, or not unscorable, but a difficult position. So Mike's going to just push out here.
Yeah, onto the back cushion where he's standing. It's one thing I've noticed with the top players. One thing that the club players tend to do is leave just the pot red. But you notice that a lot of the top players will try and leave an in-off red.
Yes.
As such, not quite as bad as what Matthew's left it, but what that does, it takes the shot that Mike's just played out the equation, because you can actually push the red after the in-off towards the opponent's ball.
Yes.
So Matthew's
It's really
place-
about having a bit more flexibility
It
by
is, yeah.
using side
Yeah.
and stun and so
Yeah.
forth. You can direct the red
Yeah.
pretty much anywhere you go, whereas there's really only one potting line. And so after the pot, all you can control in terms of ball positioning is pace.
Yeah, so here's a really tricky situation for Matthew. Now this is
He's
a
just
really
looking at this.
yeah.
He's
He doesn't want to move this red. That's on these sliding cushions. That's a tight angle there.
Yeah. He wouldn't consider the cushion run through.
No,
here.
the run through and off. It's sort of a natural pace to take the red into balk. He's really going to have to give it a wallop to get it back.
Looks
it's
like
ob-
he's playing the cushion run
Yeah.
through.
It's a good shot.
Oh, great try.
Yeah,
Oh, it gets,
that's a
drops
fantastic
it.
shot. Mike was halfway over his chair there.
He was.
That had a lot of side on that to get into the pocket. Another tricky in off here, wide angle. This is a very unnatural angle for the eye to pick up. So it looks like he's playing a stun.
Screwing off?
Yeah, screwing off in the centre pocket.
Bring the red down on the line towards the yellow.
So he wants to avoid the kiss on the yellow here. That's checked up off the jaw.
Into a nasty place. He can screw off the cushion to
Yeah.
make the cannon. That's the only option I can see.
Yeah, he'll just be playing some enough place just to touch the yellow and leave it in off into the bottom, what you call the green pocket, I suppose, in snooker. No, he hasn't judged that. He wants this red to pull up.
Again, another player comes to the table with not much to look at. They've been doing that a lot, haven't they?
Yeah. I'd expect Mike to get this in off here. Once again, he put a touch of left-hand side on there. It must be deceiving the conditions out there, because it looked like the angle wasn't wide enough. So he's put a touch of left-hand side on, to widen the angle, and the cue ball's overshot the pocket once again. So Matthew's just looking at a run-through in off here.
On the yellow.
Yeah, on the yellow. Takes the safer option of the red in play.
So this should finish, if he comes in and out of balk, somewhere around the bottom left, top left pocket.
He gave that a bit of a whack there.
Overplayed that.
There wasn't much thought in the pace of that shot.
So could play red, top cushion, come back for the cannon.
Yeah.
But that risks leaving the balls close together if he misses. So he's given it a decent whack.
I'll tell you what, this is close to going in here, Peter.
Oh. Now that was interesting.
Yeah.
No hand up to Mike.
No, he
sorry
did.
about that.
He did give you
I'm sorry, I missed that.
little gesture there. Yeah, Matthew would be well aware of the importance of that shot going in, and he did give a little gesture to Mike.
Needs it out of balk. Needs it out of balk.
Maybe a bit of justice there, Peter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe guilt, you think?
Yeah. So,
both battling here,
yeah.
Grant, in a way that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think we're used to seeing them battle.
So what Matthew's looking at here is the position Matthew
Following
might be putting them in line.
Yeah, Matthew's allowed to play a miss here. He doesn't actually have to hit a ball. Because both balls are in balk, it's not a foul for him to simply push his ball out onto the cushion.
So what Matthew was looking at there was the line of Mike's ball in relation to the red and the cushion. So what he's done there is put his cue ball exactly
directly in line.
Yeah. So just great camera angle there from Cue Ball TV.
So Mike's really got nothing to look at in terms of viable shots. So Mike returns the favour, or at least attempts to.
He won't be happy with that shot. He's left Matthew a little screw shot cannon here.
Yep.
And pushing the red towards the bottom.
Red over the ball pocket.
Yeah.
Both of them very uncomfortable. I just get a sense that they're both very anxious and antsy about this whole affair.
That's a great shot. So what Matthew's left here is obviously pot red.
Pot red in off yellow.
Yeah. Matthew's got his parents out from Perth to watch him play in these championships. Be fantastic for the parents to see Matthew in action and hopefully see him do well in the World Championships on home soil. So we've got an in-off in the centre pocket here. We'll see how Matthew plays. He'll be hoping to leave a drop cannon after this shot. He wants this to come away from the cushion and come up a little bit. We saw the slow reaction off the top cushion there. So these are one of these tricky shots the players have been struggling with. And Matthew's made sure of that. He wants this cue ball to slow down a little bit. We've got Matthew's mother hovering around the commentary box at the moment, nervously watching the footage on the screen. As a parent, it'd be pretty hard to watch your son live in action and feeding off the nerves of what's happening in the room. Obviously, Matthew and the family have a pretty long tradition of cue sports, with Matthew's father Neil also a state champion, and I believe Matthew's grandfather was a state champion. Both grandfathers were state champions too in cue sports. So a rich tradition in cue sports in the Bolton household. So great opportunity here for Matthew to push Mike's ball back below the spot and back into perfect top of the table play. Matthew's gone out to a 120 point lead at the moment, which is going to be handy in the final stages of this match. As a viewer, if you're not familiar with Billiards, just keep an eye on the spots on the ball and have a look at what Matthew's doing with the side, etc. on the cue ball here. So a touch of right-hand side on that cue ball. It's a cannon below the yellow. And Matthew will be landing high on the yellow ball here to push it back underneath the spot. So he might play this with a touch of right-hand side. not too much. Plain ball. And back in the perfect position to continue the break. Yeah.
6.
So Matthew's up to 49 now during this break, and he's still got the balls at top. He's left himself a natural cross loser here. We've seen a few misses in the room by some of the top players with this shot, surprisingly. So he's made sure of that.
3-6-9 shot,
Yeah.
so it's pot red, cross loser, pot red. So I'll sit high of the pot line here. So current score stands 480 to 331 with Matthew on a break of 52.
So one of the viewers, Peter, has mentioned, not that I agree with it, but Mike seems to be the only player who prefers floating white.
No.
And most players
I
prefer
think all
floating.
players prefer floating white.
Yeah. So we see Matthew doesn't mind postman's knock, and this is probably the best example we'll see if he does push it towards the bottom cushion. But definitely both these players very much prefer floating white. Obviously, yes. I believe Mike was, a pioneer in terms of the floating white, and his accuracy is second to none in my opinion. And Matthew not far behind, as you said earlier in the commentary. Matthew really studied Mike's game and his floating white technique, and really loves to keep that ball close to the spot.
He's very close to postman's knock now, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
So one more tiny tap, or tap.
Yeah.
And he'll have it locked onto that cushion. It'd be fair to say that all of the players here in the final 8 can play good postman's knock.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it would be also fair to say that they all prefer floating white. Even guys that have built their career on postman's knock. Okay, he's knocked it back up.
Yeah, there we are.
Rather than play postman's knock.
Yeah.
Even guys that have built their career like Geet Sethi now prefers to play floating white. And I think part of that is the balkline crossing. It's much easier to get low on the red for the angle to go around the table in postman's knock than it is in floating white than it is in postman's knock. But also I think the risk of a cover in postman's knock, if you do get inside that opponent's ball, you'll get a diabolical cover and have to push the red over the bag. So
yeah, obviously there's a lot more tolerance playing the floating white. Typically people who play postman's knock, their first pot red, they like to land on the same line as the red. So there's not much tolerance there, but with the floating white you do you do have the opponent's ball closer to the spot, and obviously it gives you a lot more tolerance with angles to play the cannon.
Yes. You need more shots to play floating white.
Yeah.
So you need more all-round skill. But if you've got that all-round skill, then that's a nasty cover.
Yeah.
That's a nasty cover. No easy cannon here, so it looks like he's potting the red with the yellow.
Yeah. So
Matthew Bolton, 91.
He was also faced with the prospect of a balkline crossing there too. So I think he was trying to land low on that ball. Once again, a cover atop of the table from these two, which you wouldn't expect. So Mike's elected to come out for an in-off and leave a drop cannon or in-off into the centre pocket here. So if he does land short on this in-off, he's got the option of a drop cannon. So plenty of insurance with those shots.
Is this check side drop down?
Yeah, he'll be playing this with a lot of left-hand side, just to straighten his ball up a bit, as you can see there.
Not perfect, but quite workable.
No.
So thick on the white. Ooh, what's he playing here? Is this thin?
This is a very risky shot. Okay.
Pot red. Okay.
He was happy where Matthew's ball is, and
Yes.
he's elected to take the risky pot. So yet another opportunity for Mike to try and establish a big break. He doesn't want this red to go in.
Potted that.
It's very unusual to
Hammered
see these mistakes from both of these players.
17.
So really just focused on the white position there. Very unusual, Grant. What we're seeing here from both these players is atypical. These are the two most precise top of the table players in the world, and neither of them can hold top.
No. So shake of the head there from Mike. Contacted the wrong side of the red once more, but he's got a return cannon and to leave the pot red after this.
This isn't doing, no matter who wins this match, this is not doing anything for their confidence either way.
No, I think both
Knowing
players
that they've got to face
Yeah.
a Sorov, a David,
Exactly, yeah.
a Peter coming up.
They get a reasonable break between the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, so both players will be analysing their match and probably re-evaluating how they're going to play these tables.
I don't think they're wanting to dwell on this one.
No.
This has been a dogfight, but it has not been a match that either of them would be proud to call their own. It's been a complete dogfight. Maybe that's what's upsetting the rhythm.
Yeah. So Mike would have liked to have landed high on that red, but he's got an opportunity for two in-offs, easier being the white ball. So a little bit of right-hand side there, just to straighten up his ball. So once again, if you're tuning in from overseas or anywhere in Australia, just drop a comment, let us know where you're viewing from. Any questions you've got for the commentary or anything of the conditions here at the RACV club, just drop a comment, we're happy to answer.
Assuming that we know.
Assuming that we know the answers, obviously.
If not, we'll make it up.
Yeah.
41.
We're not above that, are we?
No. So we do have some semi-finals on tonight, and also the final of the ladies' championships. And
oh my God, he's missed that.
Had a miss.
Oh my God.
So once again, an easy miss from Mike there.
At 41.
Yeah. So we've got the semi-finals on tonight, and also the final of the ladies' championships. So if you are in Melbourne, feel free to pop down and have a look at some of the world's best billiards. We've still got tickets left for the semi-finals and I believe the finals, which are on tomorrow, which will be 3 sessions.
Not sure we have many left for the finals.
Yeah, there won't be many. Yeah, okay.
I think there'll be room access. I mean, you can still get in, you just won't have a seat.
Yeah.
So we're at standing room only for the finals.
That's fantastic. We had roughly 120 odd people here at the final of the World Open the other night. It was a great atmosphere, and both players really loved the atmosphere in the room, because it's not very often the players do get to play in front of large crowds, and it's an absolute credit to the organisers of this event, really promoting the events, and also some of the players involved in the promotional aspects of the event.
Leaving the short drop cannon here. He's going to cross the balls over.
So he'll be losing Mike's ball across the other side of the table.
Yes.
Not the best angle to get near the spot. So he'll be just concentrating on his contact with the red ball here.
Yeah,
and that's worked out not too bad.
Well, they've crossed over. It's nothing dead easy, but it could have been worse from there. So arms crossed in the front row is Harry Anderson from the Hornsby Club.
Yeah, good to see Harry down here.
Loves his billiards.
Yeah.
Loves his billiards.
This is a really fine shot here for Matthew. It's always a risky shot.
He gets to repeat the process on the way back.
Yeah.
Unless he can get past it and play it full.
Yeah, he'll be having to get the rest out here, Peter. He might be playing the in-off, the fine in-off, and which will naturally push the opponent's ball near the spot.
Put the red onto the yellow, won't it?
Yeah. So
almost full ball.
So this could work out well for Matthew here. He's just got to focus on the in-off and not worry about where the other balls are going, but you'll see him really focusing on this shot. That's a very big shot there. That's not too bad. He might be forced to play a throw in-off here off the red and bring the red back in and out of ball.
Round off 3 cushions.
Yeah. Wanting to obviously miss the bottom right-hand pocket in the process.
Somebody's asked us if the cloth on this table is the same as on professional snooker table. Not quite. This is it's a Strawn's cloth, and that's what they play the professional snooker on. But they play the professional snooker on a Strawn's number 10. This is a Strawn's Superfine, which is considered to be halfway between a club level 6811 cloth and the pro snooker cloth Strawn's 10. Strawn's 10 is plays similarly, but it's more hard wearing than a Strawn's 10. Strawn's 10 really barely lasts a week on the pro snooker tour. This one is designed to last much longer, but to have similar playing characteristics.
Yeah, some of the modern cloths they're bringing out now, Peter, have a slight nylon content, 5% or so, which, speaking to some of the table fitters when I was over in the UK, are ideal for countries like Australia, India, etc.
We have some humidity.
With humidity, it's good to have a slight bit of nylon and the cloths don't get as heavy. Welcome to the viewers. We've got some viewers tuning in from obviously the UK, roughly 2 a.m. over there apparently. The Philippines, and obviously some Matthews fans have tuned in. Sharon, hey Sharon, how are you?
To our Filipinos, Kumustaka.
Very good, Peter.
Thank you, Grant.
We've just had some scores.
The lovely David Pitt.
Yeah.
David, these are just approximate.
This
is unlike David.
Yeah.
He's so pedantic normally.
Yeah.
But Peter Gilchrist has now stepped out to a significant lead over Dhruv Sidwala. To remind you, it was the first score check was Peter Gilchrist 280 to 223, but now Peter has skipped away to 628 to Dhruv Sidwala 314.
Just quickly, Peter, an interesting little situation popped up there. Matthew just took two pots off the spot there, and his cue balls landed on the centre spot. So obviously what happens there is the red gets spotted on the pyramid spot there, and it's a very difficult shot, and it's an unnatural shot. Sorry, Peter, I just thought I'd point that out to the viewers. It's something you don't really see very often.
So he took 2 off the spot,
and
then his own cue ball landed on the centre spot.
Yeah.
So okay, interesting. So you don't see that very often.
No. Bit of excitement for the day, Peter.
Woohoo!
We'll put that in the highlight reel after the match.
That's the thing about videos, we have to take joy in the small things.
So that's unlucky there for Mike. Mike's played that with a lot of right-hand side there to throw the angles and try and make the cannon. So just back to the other scores.
Now David Pitt, you're so pedantic normally, you've just put 500 plus 2. Right, okay. So David's excuse is he was unsighted on the scoreboards, but we've got some indication that in the match between Saurav Qatari and Rob Hall, Surov has skipped away to 500 plus.
Wow.
To Rob's 200 plus. So we can't get the exact details. On the other match, it looks like, is that 800? Okay. So David Corsia is at 800 plus. To Nathray U on 500 plus.
Peter got a little bit distracted there.
I was a little bit distracted there by Anna Lynch's celebratory dance.
Natural beauty.
Anna Lynch, 2-0. That's the update. That's in the group stages. Judy Dangerfield would have won her match as well, I imagine. She was well ahead. So we've got men's quarterfinals, and we have a new record, Facebook 100,000 reach. Well done, David. So we're exposing, now for those of you who don't know what the hell's going on, who haven't seen billiards before, can I commend to you, and I'll ask Dan to put the link up in the comments section, the How to Play Billiards video that was produced here at the RACV just a week ago. It gives you a quick and good summary of what the hell's going on, and how we score at billiards and what the patterns of play are about. A very fine piece of work. Voice work done by Glyn McConnell, the silky voice Glyn McConnell, and shots performed by Robbie Foldavari and Steve Mifsud, with Damien Wilcox as referee. So
yeah, it's a great little instructional video, that, and yeah, there should be more of more videos like that, really, to help promote the sport.
Well, we're going to make that one available as to World Billiards to use in any tournament that they want. So anytime there's a streaming service at the billiards, because the game's very esoteric, it's very hard to follow if you don't know.
Yeah.
Beautiful once you understand the intricacies of the game, but it's a complex game. So
it's a very complex game. What you're seeing here, if you've seen enough billiards, it may look very simple to score in its position of the table, but believe me, if you've got a chance, head down to your club, get 3 balls out, and try and duplicate what the boys are doing here, because it's no mean feat to score, 100 break.
Yeah. No mean feat to score a 20 break.
Yeah. Yeah, people believe it's they watch this and they see the cue ball, all 3 balls really not move much, and they believe it's an easy game to master, and it takes guys decades. And
well, that's the great mystery of billiards.
Yeah.
Clive Everton says art conceals art. What he means by that is that these guys are so good that they make the complex look simple. And the better you are, the more simple you make it look.
Yeah.
It's not until you watch club players playing that you realise just how complicated it is.
Yeah.
In fact, Peter Gilchrist says when he goes home to Middlesbrough, he doesn't watch top-level play. He goes up to the club and watches C graders battle it out, because that's what he prefers to watch.
Yeah. I get that. It's you see a wider array of shots, and
most of them wrong.
Most of them wrong, but it's
it's good to remember your roots.
Yeah.
Well done, Peter.
Yeah, obviously Peter comes from a very strong area of the UK that's produced a lot of champions through the Teesside Boys leagues. Obviously Mike's a product of that. Dave Corsia. I'm sure that there's others.
Peter Gilchrist,
obviously, yeah.
Lee Largan, Chris Shutt, Martin, Bob Close. Our record books are littered with former members of the Teesside Boys.
So, who would think a small county in the UK could produce so many world champions, Peter?
Well, I said in an earlier commentary last year, year before last in the World Championships, 3/4 of the semi-finalists were from the town of Middlesbrough, population 110,000.
Yep.
against the Republic of India, who had the other contender, population 1.1 billion.
Yeah. It's funny, my family's actually from County Durham, which is just up the road from Middlesbrough, and
Oh, really?
none of that billiard prowess has
Didn't
rubbed
rub
off on me, so I got the wrong end of the stick there on. Yeah.
And Matthew's family are from the town of Bolton, the eponymously named Bolton, which is also in the same area.
Yeah, so interesting point there. Just a statement: billiards more technical than snooker. That's an interesting point. With billiards, obviously, you're faced with a lot more possibilities, and obviously, you're not just potting balls. You gain in-off balls and playing cannons. Peter, I had an interesting chat with Neil Robinson a few weeks ago when they had the national snooker here, and I actually asked Neil. Neil was quite interested in billiards, and being based in Cambridge, he's obviously seen a lot of billiards with Phil Mumford, etc. And I just asked him. I said, "How do you think the world's top snooker players would go in billiards, and would they be capable of knocking the 300-400 breaks?" And look, it's an interesting point. He sort of said, probably the top 64 players in the world in snooker, if they really adapted themselves to billiards, they'd be capable of producing some large breaks. I found that quite interesting. It's a very different mindset playing billiards to snooker.
Well, I asked the same question of Peter Gilchrist, and he was very dismissive of even Ronnie O'Sullivan's chances.
Yeah.
I'm going to generalise here and say that all of the top billiards players are well capable right now, today, of making 100 plus breaks in snooker.
Yes.
But I don't think the reverse is true.
Yeah.
And that might just be partly because the top billiards players are exposed to snooker, but the reverse isn't true. But also, there's a different array of shots in billiards. You would never be playing the deuce you play on a billiards ball on a snooker table. In fact, every snooker coach will tell you, don't play side, hit centre ball, hit centre ball, hit centre ball. Whereas the shots that you're seeing here are simply not possible without the use of side. So they're using side to change the angle of throw and also to help the ball into the pocket. Mike Russell's just played a touch of check on that ball, and the shot wasn't possible if he didn't play the check.
The big difference there, Peter, is talking about hitting plain ball on the snooker tour. Is obviously they're playing on super fine cloth, and if you're not cueing accurately, the cloth will really find you out quickly. Yes. It's an interesting debate in relation to the snooker players being able to adapt to billiards.
Cushion cannon. That's a better idea. Why didn't I think of that?
So Mike's made a little resurgence in this match. He's on to 90. And
was that a balk line crossing just then? I missed that.
We were too engrossed in the snooker play debate, weren't we?
Yeah, that's right. We were too engrossed bagging out snooker players. and we're not bagging out.
No, we're not bagging. Not at all.
They have a tremendous skill set in one aspect of the game, and that is potting. And in terms of potting, they're going to outperform the boys you're looking at here. But Matthew is a dual champion at this. Steve Mifsud is a dual champion. Saurav Katari won our snooker tournament here in June.
Obviously, Robbie.
Obviously, Robbie.
Yeah.
Lots of the billiards players are very, very proficient snooker players as well.
Yeah. So Mike's just left himself a fantastic angle here to go into balk. Left it to the last pot, so that's really cutting it fine there.
That was so clever.
He won't be happy with that kiss. No. He wants this yellow, white to come off the cushion.
And it does.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all right. Not quite as annoyed as he was.
No. So with 45 minutes left, Peter, we've got a slender 80-point lead to Matthew.
Match.
Anybody's match.
Bringing that up into drop. Now the other thing is the range of shots in billiards, because there are 5 ways of scoring and combinations of those. That necessitates more shots being used. There are shots that you would see in billiards you would simply never ever see on a snooker table.
No.
For instance, top spin, full-blooded top spin force, you would never hit full-blooded top spin shot in snooker. And yet it's an enormous part of the game of billiards. You would never see, or very, very seldom see, a maximum side shot played at distance. Yet it's a normal part of the game of billiards. In fact, as I say, some shots are simply not played at. So there's a much wider array of shots in billiards than in any other ball sport, because there's a wider array of scores.
Yeah, I suppose one of the biggest things you do see in billiards, especially at top of the table play, is the second ball contact with side to avoid those smothers at top. So Mike again.
This shot played with side.
Yeah. So he wants this cue ball.
Okay, that's pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. So he's up top now. Let's see if he can be Mike Russell.
So Matthew still has a 60-odd point lead here, Peter, and well, I'm sure Matthew would prefer to be at the table at the moment, because Mike's got perfect position here to try and knock in a big break.
So he just wants to come across and play the little correcting cannon coming back. So thin off the white, high on the red, so that he can come down and make a pot.
So even a shot like that, Peter, he's hit below the centre of the cue ball with left-hand side, just to land high in that red. These are little shots you won't really see in snooker.
Yes, and the delicacy. You see some very delicate shots for roll-up snookers in the 22 ball game.
So we just had a question there. Have any of the billiard players tried their hand at carom? That's an interesting question. And we can only speak for a lot of the Australian players. I know Robbie's had a little crack at it, not at a competitive level, but it's very much a you only see carom in certain parts of the world.
Well, you see carom in a lot of parts of the world. Korea is very strong.
Yeah,
Japan,
Korea.
Turkey, Brazil. I mean, it's got a very, very wide audience, and
Brazil,
we love it.
And Brazil have their own form of snooker too.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the different formats of the game and how the world interprets cue sports. But obviously parts of Europe have a strong tradition in carom.
Yes.
I personally don't know of any carom tables in Melbourne. I know there's a few in Sydney, in some of the Korean bars, etc.
I think one at the Dutch club in. So, but not a lot of it played, which is a pity, because it's a beautiful, beautiful game, especially 3 cushion. I mean, there are a lot of versions of carom, but 3C is a very, very elegant game. I actually went to the what they called the Dreiband Weltmeisterschaft, the 3 cushion world championship in St. Wendel, Germany, a few years ago.
That's
fascinating.
You've done well to pronounce that, Peter, and I'm not going to attempt that, but I'm sure that's worth about 100 points in Scrabble, that name.
Yes. Like Sri Krishna
Sri Krishna, yeah. Isn't he a great young player?
Isn't he a great young player?
So he had a fantastic duel with Javage yesterday.
So again, Mike has to come away from top. Won't be happy with that.
No. He doesn't want this red hard up. It's slowed down perfectly.
So punch it out off 2 cushions.
This is a very crucial part of the match here. The scores are almost locked up once again. Still 40 minutes left, so time's running out for either of these players to establish a commanding lead.
Yes, so Mike really wants to get and hold top. He's got here a few times. He hasn't been able to hold it. Now, as I say, this is a man who has held them at top for 700 and 800 points at a time. but and here he's just too straight on the red. So
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple of aspects of Mike's top of the table play which, when he's at his best, are almost unique to him. Firstly, he never leaves a straight pot. It's always a three-quarter ball pot. Secondly, he plays twice as many recovery cannons as any other player in the game. Coming from behind, he's constantly knocking this ball, as in this shot, back up towards the spot.
That's perfect. He's really flirts with that spot, doesn't he?
Yes.
He's probably the most accurate player I've ever seen in relation to keeping the opponent's ball close to the.
Now here we're doing a Mike Russell. We're inspecting the red.
Yeah.
And then we're going to give it a little tickle and then a buff on our chest.
Yeah.
And then replace it. Okay.
Yeah.
So good. He's back to normal.
And Mike won't charge Mr. Cosgrove for those services.
No, he's very good like that. Now he's left another straight pot. Or just off straight this time, that's okay. Aidan Murray, the great Irish player, pointed out to me that Mike seldom leaves a straight pot.
Yeah.
Greetings to Aidan if you're watching, and the Irish boys. A fine observer of the game and a gentleman.
Good hazard play, Aidan.
Wonderful hazard player.
It would have been nice to see some of the more of the international players come over. I know it's a big trip though.
It is a big trip, but instead of that, we had our own Irishman, David Walsh.
It's the Walsh from
Galway via Mount Colah in Sydney.
Yes.
David's an architect who discovered billiards when he was in Australia. He was a handy snooker player.
Yeah, and he's picked up the game quite quickly,
He's
David.
fallen in love with it.
He's a very tall character, David. He's gets over the cue ball very nicely. Oh, he just skimmed that there. That was.
Yes. So again, he's coming away from top.
That was a really fine contact there.
So here we've got a drop cannon, but we're going to cross the red over to the opposite corner.
He's going to play another in-off here, Peter. Oh, no, he's... Oh, I tell you what, this needs to check.
Okay.
He's had plenty of side on that.
Yeah.
200 break there.
Okay.
Appreciation from the crowd.
Yeah.
Always seem to have a very knowledgeable crowd at these billiard events.
Always, yeah. Such an esoteric game, you know, it's like the dark arts, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is Hogwarts.
Yeah, I caught the train from platform, 7 3/4 to get here today.
9 3/4.
9 3/4.
9
yeah.
3/4, yeah.
I don't really pay much attention to
Yeah. So these are the genuine wizards of the game, and you'll see more cue skills here than really anywhere else in the world.
That's a fantastic shot there.
That is a brilliant shot.
Yeah. So once again, Mike's got Matthew's ball near that nameplate there, and we'll continue with this break.
Yeah. Unusual to see a nameplate at the top end of the table, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I suppose on more of the modern tables, but with the tables that are sort of pre-1880s roughly, it was quite common to.
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, now when they talk about the nameplate, they talk about it in snooker, and they say you want your opponent's hand on the nameplate.
Yeah.
Because it's usually at the baulk end of the table.
Yeah.
It means they're tied up on the cushion.
Yeah. And obviously, this is quite an ornate table too.
Yeah.
You do tend to see a couple of nameplates on tables like this.
The pockets are recessed here, and there's a beautiful little, I don't know whether it's ebony, but you can see a little arrow coming out from the pocket.
Yes.
Is that ebony or what?
It is ebony. Yeah. So what would have happened, Peter? These tables would have originally had the flat brass pockets.
Yes.
And over the years, it's been adapted to take the flat surface.
pocket,
So they've actually filled the voids there with ebony. And also, it's interesting to see the black ebony spots on the billiard markers. So I'm not sure when the table, what happens sometimes with these old tables, Peter, when they're reconditioned with the sanding, the original ivory plugs, they're not very deep. So when they do get sanded, unfortunately, they do get damaged or cracked. So it looks like they may have been filled with the ivory there also. That's a pretty large.
So what was that mark for?
Look, I'm not too sure.
Is it just halfway down the rail?
No, it's not halfway down the rail. I've never really studied what those markers are for. They're obviously there's.
What? Oh. Now it throws his hands to the.
He'll be fine off the back cushion here.
Well, unless he moves the red.
Yeah, no problems.
Great shot.
So
the delicacy in that was unbelievable.
You'll see two of those markers down towards
three cannons.
Three cannons run through. There we are.
Back.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Look at that.
So you see those similar markers down towards the balk line too.
Yeah.
They don't actually marry up with the balk line. I've never really looked into that, Peter, what the markers are for.
Let's see if we can ask David Pitt, who is in fact one of the spokespeople for Alcock's tables. Yeah. Sorry? Dan, our producer, has suggested that the black markers are for electronic scoring. I'm not sure that they had that in mind in 1880, Dan, but perhaps they're planning well ahead.
If Todd Haywood's still online, he might know.
He could.
Todd's quite knowledgeable. But yeah, realistically, something I should know, Peter. Obviously,
you've been in that field, but yeah, we'll see if we can locate David Pitt, who, or more likely George Taylor, who's from Alcock, Thompson and Taylor. He should be floating around fairly shortly, so we will ask him, Grant.
We'll educate ourselves. It's always nice to.
Good to be educated.
That's right.
As my son says.
So
40 people watching now. Welcome aboard, newcomers.
Once again, if you're tuning in from parts of the world, drop us a message and let us know where you're tuning in from.
Yep. Tell us what we're doing wrong and what you want to know. Here's David Pitt now. David, we were asking what these black dots on the table are for. It's a long story. Okay, I'm going to put the headphone on, David, to tell the long story. Somebody asked, so here's the answer.
So just joined by David Pitts, who fill us in on the mystery of the black spots.
So hello everyone, and welcome to the coverage. Now, interesting question about the large black dots on the table. Dan, if you could just give us a long shot of the chiffonier scoreboard in the back left corner at the balk end. Okay, that's great. So this chiffonier scoreboard that we're looking at, chiffonier marking board more correctly called, is part of a matching set which consists of the Duke of Edinburgh tulip wood billiard table, Alcock & Co. Antique table, which dates from the 1880s. The scoreboard that you just saw and the revolving cue stand in another corner of the room are all a matching set made from matching tulip wood. And if you look at that scoreboard, it's got two large dials on the top of it. And contrary to some opinions, they're not timers and they're not barometers. They're actually for scoring at billiards. The son of Henry Upton Alcock, the founder of Alcock's, Arthur Upton Alcock, was a bit of a technological whiz and a very early adopter of electricity. In fact, Alcock's at the back of their factory in Russell Street in Melbourne, where they had plenty of space for things. Nice balk line crossing there from Mike. Oh, he does. It's okay, actually. That's all right. He's got a bad angle here. At the back, Arthur Upton Alcock started up one of the very first electricity distribution companies in Melbourne. And he was a real inventor. He had a number of inventions of electrical apparatus and so forth. One of the things he invented was an electronic scoring system. This is in the 1890s or so. And originally on this table, where those large black ebony buttons are, there were little recessed buttons that you could press to update your score. There were wires underneath the table connecting to the chiffonier scoreboard, and the large dials on the top of the scoreboard actually showed the score. So, over 100 years ago, Alcocks were doing electronic scoring. Over time, that system fell out of favour, although you can still see the battery at the back of the scoreboard if you walk around and have a look at the back. They've actually still got the buttons on the side of the scoreboard, but no longer in the table. So at the time that this table was converted from top pocket brasses, where the pocket brasses actually sit above the level of the cushion, you can see that there's black ebony strips just next to the pockets. They replace where the original brass fingers of the raised pocket brasses were, and now we have what are known as concealed pocket brasses on this table. At the same time that work was done, they replaced the little buttons which were used for the electronic scoring, also with an ebony insert around the 4 positions on the table, in the same position as the normal little spots that you see quite often on billiards table. So I hope that's just an interesting explanation for the viewer who asked as to what those dots are all about.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think, that many years ago they were thinking about automated scoring.
And it sort of fell in out of use for probably nearly 100 years, and it's only just in recent years that we've been doing it again. Now, while I've been waffling on about Arthur Upton Alcocks and ebony buttons, Mike Ross has got 316 to go, and he's really putting his stamp on this match. He was 100 behind at the start of this break. He's now 140 in front. So with the clock running down, 28 minutes to go, it's really a very, very interesting stage of this game.
Yeah, and you can see Matthew's posture in the background there. He's got the arms crossed, keeping the hands warm, and just hoping that at some stage that Mike breaks down. And I can't see it happening at this stage. He looks very focused, Mike, at the moment, and he's definitely turned it on when he's needed to. We see our referee, Mr. Cosgrove, in the background there. Yeah.
I think the spot's occupied, and he can't quite work out whether it goes or not. So I think he's going to have to play a shot here where he has 2 bob each way, and he'll only find out when Paul spots the red whether it does go or not. That might be regarded as an anomaly in the rules, because you're allowed to ask the referee if the ball's in or out of balk, but you can't ask him whether or not it's going to spot. Of course, he can't really do that without either a ball marker or another ball, so that's just up to the player to judge.
So once again, you can see that slight head movement from Mike, just guiding the cue ball. Just keep an eye on Mike's head as you see a little head movement. He always guides the ball in with his head there, and he looks really switched on at the moment, Mike, and he's scoring quite heavily at the moment. The break moves up to 339.
341.
So Mike's established a 160-point lead here, and with only 20 odd minutes left, it's going to be hard for Matthew to get back to the table.
It's a very good lead, but certainly not a match-winning lead. If he breaks down here, there's plenty of time for Matthew, who could score at around about 5 minutes 100 to get this back. The next sort of tricky part in the break is likely to come when he has to cross the balk line again between 380 and 400. But Grant, I think this might be Mike's biggest break of the tournament.
Yeah, it is. We were just chatting about that earlier. It's very unusual to see the likes of Mike Russell, Matthew Bolton, and a few of the others not actually knocking in a 400, and in some cases a 300. It's unheard of.
It is a surprise, particularly given the high praise that the players have heaped on the playing conditions here. These are reasonably they're not generous pockets, but they're certainly not tight pockets. Beautiful, fast cloths and very responsive cloths. So even players like Steve Mifsud, who's been knocking in 400 and 500 breaks this year, he didn't get past the 200 mark. I don't think Matthew's only been past the 200 mark once or twice. So,
yeah, he had a 200 yesterday against Javage. So this is a great confidence booster for Mike if he was to win this match and head into the semi-finals tonight, because obviously he's been struggling with a bit of form over the week. He hasn't had much time to practice before this event, and this will be a handy little break for Mike.
Absolutely. He's been struggling on this table, it's fair to say. He's played on it quite a lot, and he feels that it plays differently to all the others, a little bit heavier on the cloth. But if you get to playing it 3 or 4 times during the week, then you should be starting to get used to it.
Yeah, well,
Alcox did give this table a double iron this morning because it's been just running that little bit more heavily than the other cloths. So maybe that's just played into Mike's hands a bit, and he's just a little bit more used to it.
Yeah, it's a little bit brighter down that end of the room, and I dare say being in a pit condition, it probably does play a little bit different to the other tables.
Yeah, the factor there, Grant, could be the air conditioning, because they tell me that end of the room is about 1 degree.
Wow, that's
1 degree cooler.
That's very unexpected there, and
Lovely 377 break there, Mike Russell.
Yeah,
totally unexpected.
So
for him to miss straight right off the spot there, he wouldn't do that.
So it looks like both the boys are just taking a quick break. 23 minutes left, and we've got a fairly sizable lead there for Mike, and we do have a real match.
200 lead, but he had the chance to put the match away. Then another 100 or so would have basically put the match away both by increasing his lead, but also by chewing up the available time. So. If Matthew can make a good reply yet, it still may be game on. So just looking around the room now, we've got 4 matches being played. If Dale McKay would get his ugly dial out of the way, you could see 4 matches being played in the World Women's Billiards Championship, which commenced this morning with a field of 10, 9 from Australia and Alice Wu from China contesting that championship. So far in that tournament, Judy Dangerfield and Anna Lynch have been going nicely and looking like they might be among the top chances to get through. Anna, of course, played in the World Championship, had a great tournament, really.
Yeah.
She led, dual Australian champion Joe Manici for a large part of their round robin section before Matthew pulled away. Before Joe pulled away, and then she had a win against Zach Guja of New Zealand, who's ranked in the top 100 in the world. So,
and she had a nice 57 break there in the match there to secure the match.
Really good.
So what's happening here on the footage, we've got access to a fantastic movable camera with Zoom facilities, and it's very interesting. It's
just can't quite see the scores.
No.
Well, hang on, I can see a 3. Looks like on the top.
So just to give everyone an idea, what we've just zoomed in on is probably a good 20 odd metres away from the actual camera. So it just shows you the quality of the cameras we do have here.
Great camera work there, Dan. This camera that we're looking at is being operated by remote control by Dan Lynch of Cue Ball TV from our production desk here. Outside the room. So
we're just back at the play here. Both the boys have had a quick refreshment, and Matthew's at the table now. He's got a 190 odd point deficit here, so he's got a lot of work to do, but plenty of time. I'm sure Matthew's quite grateful to be back at the table, as Mike had perfect top of the table there for quite some time. So Matthew really needs to take his opportunity here and produce some good billiards.
Do you think that Mike may have had a kick on that red that he missed?
Yeah, he did point to the cue ball, and obviously Matthew had it clean straight away. There hasn't been many kicks, but they always happen at crucial points.
This superfine cloth is actually supposed to have this new anti-kick
anti-static,
technology, which is a feature that's been promoted by Strawn, the cloth manufacturer. It's a very good cloth. The only one who's really been putting in the multiple big breaks has been David Causey. He's got 3 400s and Matthews just brutalised that. I mean, it was a little bit wide, but you know,
Matthew Bolton.
Yeah, that wasn't very comfortable at all.
yeah.
Obviously, Surav been travelling quite well too. I'm not sure how he's going at the moment, but Surav was travelling quite well. He did have a slight lead against Rob Hall. I watched Surav's match yesterday against Pankaj Avani, and that was an absolute delight to watch. He had a 4.0, I think a 4.09 break and another 200 odd break, and really established a big lead on Pankaj and dominated that match.
So, of course, as we now get down to the business end of the tournament, the last 8 here, we've got 3-hour matches in the last 8, 4-hour matches in the semi-finals, and a 5-hour final. So that's when you really see these guys producing their best, because they've got plenty of time to make big breaks. You know, they're getting no excuses as far as getting used to the table. Each of those matches is either 2 or 3 sessions, so they've got time to, you know, the first session they might be just sussing out the table a little bit, but they have a break of half an hour or so, and then they're back on in the second session, where there really should be, you know, no excuses at all.
Yeah, so while Mike's establishing himself back at the top of the table here, I'll just quickly run through the session times for the semi-finals. So we have all the semi-finals played on the same table with alternating sessions. They'll both be on this string table here. And our first session of the 2019 World Billiards Championships will commence at 1:30 this afternoon. They're all 2-hour sessions, so 4-hour semi-finals. We'll have an update on the schedule on who's playing when on the live stream after this match. Also, this afternoon or later tonight, there'll be some of the ladies' World Championships streamed on the other stream we have at this year's World Titles, with the final commencing at 6:40 p.m. tonight.
So which game will you be watching, Grant? You'll be watching the semi-finals of the World Championship, or you just sneak down onto table 1 there and have a bit of a peek at what's happening in the women's final?
I think I'll be watching the ladies' matches, David. I think very, very excited to see how the ladies perform in this event, and it's fantastic to have.
No, it's good. Even out there just now, I was out in the room a moment ago, and yeah, there's plenty watching the
That's a great
championship matches,
yeah.
but quite a few watching the women's games as well. So plenty of interest here at the RACV club in both these events. It's actually a feast of billiards out there at the moment, without tables going. 8 of the best players in the world, plus 8 women at any one time. A nice shot there by Mike. He's played a full strength, screw cannon, trying to pot the red as well, but he's managed to jaw the red, which brought it back twice across the table, back over the pocket. So a bit of luck involved there. That red could really have gone anywhere, but it turned out favourably for him. So he's now back in again.
Yeah.
Little stun here. Push the white up into the centre of the table, the red over the pocket. That's a beautiful controlled shot there for the ordinary club player. It's quite easy to lose control of that shot, not get a good contact on the red, hit it too hard, or put the white in block. But beautiful control there from Mike Russell. A little bit of right hand side here, just to narrow the angle on that slightly narrow in off the red. Now he's got both balls in front of him in the D with a very straightforward path back to the top of the table.
So hopefully we'll have an update. Welcome Peter Pedalitis, who's just tuned in. Nice to see you online, Peter. We will try and get some, I believe actually Peter Tankard's just returned with some score updates. Great timing, Peter, because we've just been asked a question. So obviously we've got the other stream happening on the other channel there. So
great to chat with you, Grant, and I'll just hand back now to Peter Tankard, who'll give you the updates from the other matches.
Thanks very much for that fascinating insight onto in relation to this table here and the mystery of the black buttons. So we've solved that one. So Peter Tankard's back. We've got an update on the other matches. So just tune in and have a listen, because
amongst the ladies first, and they have only been about 20 minutes into their matches, so the scores are not entirely relevant, but I can tell you that Yvonne Mahoney leads Michelle Hansen. Tammy Cantoni currently leads Judy Dangerfield. Alice Wu leads Catherine Prescott. And Anna Lynch leads Shelley Ames. Amongst the men's quarterfinalists, David Corsier in a typically rapid and dominant performance is 1309 against Nathway U 740 at the table currently Nathway U. Sourav Qatari 924 leads Rob Hall 467 and Peter Gilchrist 1047 leads Dhruv Sidwala 389. And how long do we have to go, Grant?
We got roughly 16 minutes. Matthew's just come to the table there. He had another chance, and he looks a little bit dejected at the moment, Matthew, unfortunately.
He can still win from here. It's still theoretically possible. The match isn't over.
Yeah, he knows his chance to win this match is unfortunately slipping away, and
it's about time now, isn't it? Michael just needs to occupy the table. Matthew, arms crossed. So the Corsier match is effectively over. The Peter match is effectively over, and the Sourav match is effectively over. So this is really the only live match that we have left. So we know that 3 of our semi-finalists are David Corsier, Sourav Qatari and Peter Gilchrist. Probably a true reflection of the
current
3
form.
best current form. You can argue it on any given day, but on current form I would say that those 3 have been dominant throughout the...
So how's it line up, Peter? Who have we got playing in the semi-final so far?
Well, I'm not sure who meets who from here.
Okay,
I should
I
know,
haven't
but
really
I don't.
looked at the draw, but
so perhaps we can find that out. I mean, these are fantastic matchups.
A quick walk, Peter, and find out information.
So Grant's off to on a voyage of discovery. So Mike's got Matt's ball tight behind the spot, and he's coming in on the good side, which is the same side as the ball, so he can just drop down. Huge latitude for error positionally there. Virtually anywhere on the line he came down on, he could stop and make an easy cannon. Bit tight to the cushion, more tight than he would have preferred, but he's a very solid pot.
So Peter, it appears David Corsier will play Peter Gilchrist.
Wow.
In the first semi-final, and obviously Sourav will face the winner of this match here, and it looks like Mike once again at the table with a 240-odd point lead. It's not looking good for Matthew at the moment, and time is running out.
Yes.
Obviously Matthew's scoring at a rate of roughly 100 points every 5 minutes. He really needs to get to the table in the next minute or so to have a chance to win this match.
So one cannon to bring it back into position. Yeah, so slipping away from Matt here. And that clock gets down to 10 minutes and you've got a more than 200 lead.
Yeah.
The match is effectively over, so Matthew needs 2 things to happen right now. He needs Mike to miss and to have them left at top, because he can't score enough points in open play to get there.
Yeah, look, Mike's too experienced here, Peter. I'm pretty certain he'll just keep it simple, and he wouldn't mind playing a few hazards here, I dare say, but he's left himself the drop cannon.
Yes. Greetings to Peter Politis, who sent us a message there. Sorry to hear you haven't picked up Q, Peter. You are sadly missed from the sport. Come back soon, mate. Q Master wants to put his money on David Corsier. You and a lot of other people, Q Master.
Yeah, I'd actually consider a bet with Suraj Kathari at the moment too, because he's
Mate, that's a good bet as well.
He's playing fantastic, Peter, and
yeah, I wouldn't be betting against a Corsier Qatari
no,
final.
not at all.
Which would be, to my mind, a
dream
fair
final.
result.
Yeah,
dream final.
Yeah,
Promoter's delight.
yeah. Very contrasting styles, but both styles pleasant to watch.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And that'll be a total head game if David can. David's been described as the best front runner in the world.
yeah,
If he can get in early and get his trademark confidence going, then he's like a steamroller, that boy.
So Mike's held the table for 4 odd minutes here, and he's extending that lead. And unfortunately, Peter, I'm going to call
You're going to call it?
Yeah, yep.
Trump wins.
Yeah, unfortunately,
The whole state of Florida has gone to Trump, so so you're going to call it.
Australia's last chance in this men's tournament is
being extinguished.
Yep.
Yep.
But with this field of great QS, it's
Well,
no easy feat to win one of these events.
Now, yes, and just to put that into context, Matthew is such a hero in Australia. He's not been beaten by an Australian for 16 years. Now that's an incredible record.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a country that loves billiards, and we have a very active and growing cohort of players, but nobody can get close to Matt. He's the man in this country.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you the depth of billiards around the world now. There's a sense we're growing.
You
and
see
growing
Mike change
well.
hands there, Peter.
Yeah,
That was
fantastic.
nice to see, actually.
Yeah, it means he's relaxing a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't go in. Doesn't matter. He's got them together anyway.
It was funny watching the match with Joe Manici and Anna Lynch, the amount of times they both changed hands. Not many people actually pick up on that, but
Ryan Mears does the same thing. He's
Yeah,
a
he
very
does.
good pot left-handed.
yeah. It's a great ability to have. I know Tyson Crinnis from New South Wales is another player who can play both-handed and knock in sizable breaks,
Yes.
both left and right.
I mean, we talk a lot about Walter Lindrum, but Walter played left-handed,
Yes.
but was in fact a right-hander. And oddly enough, his brother Fred
yes.
was born a left-hander and forced to play right-handed
To mirror
his father.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
his father could watch his
Yeah.
action because his dad was right-handed, so he
Yes.
forced Fred to play left-handed
Yeah.
so they could watch each other and mirror the action.
Yeah.
In Walter's case, he changed hands because he got his hand caught in a mangle when he was 3 years old. Mangle used to be used to dry clothes.
Yeah.
And poor little Walter got his hand caught and lost the top of his index finger.
Yeah.
So his father forced him to change hands for that reason. So both Lindrum brothers were forced to change hands, so consequently they were equally adept at both hands, like Rodney
Yeah, and
Sullivan.
both went on to obviously win many championships.
Yeah.
It's just testament to the human brain and what it can do.
Well, they say that left and right-handed brains are wired differently.
Yeah.
And maybe this gives you an advantage if you're forced to change hands. Maybe
Yeah.
your brain learns differently while you're developing as your hand-eye coordination.
So this is a great result here for Mike, who's been struggling with the conditions all week.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic 300-plus break in a
Yes.
crucial part of this match.
Yes.
And he's really motored on here, and it'll be a great confidence for Mike leading
Yep.
into the semi-finals today. See once again there, he's just touching the Matthews
Yes.
ball there, pushing it gently towards the red spot.
We're finally seeing some precision, Mike Russell.
Yeah.
And on a table that he's been critical of all week.
Yeah,
So
well-
that's, can I tell you, from an organiser's point of view, that's good news. It means we won't have another complaint at the end.
Yeah, well, there's no excuses now.
No
Unfortunately,
excuses.
he has to play on this table for the remainder of the tournament.
Yes.
And he's had plenty of time on the table today.
Yep.
Look at that touch, Peter. He's
Yes.
hardly moving that cue ball there.
We spoke about this the other day. Robbie describes the innovation of Mike's top as being moving the white ball very, very little. In fact, he moves it up and down on a 3-inch line just adjacent to the red ball. Had a comment from Pushing Tin, which I presume is pushing it in. Sorry if I missed something, go to any snooker hall and see how many people play billiards. Well, I don't know which snooker halls you're going to, but the one I'm going to, they're playing a lot of billiards. So snooker's definitely the dominant game and will be so for a long time because it's easy to get into and easy to understand. This is hard to learn, hard to understand. I get that, but relatively, off a comparatively small base, it is growing.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not sure what part of the world Mr. Pushing Tin's from, but I know in New South Wales, Victoria, and especially South Australia now, they're really pushing billiards, and the numbers are starting to increase, and you know, all the state titles, we've seen them get over 30 runners.
Yes.
Which isn't far off the mark for all the snooker events in the States. So a lot of time and promotion has gone into the...
But coming off a much lower base.
That's right.
Snooker's been dominant for many, many years now, really since the 1940s onwards, and especially with the BBC TV snooker boom from the 1970s. No doubt about it, snooker has millions and millions of players.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not just billiards, but many sports have probably seen a decline in many years due to, you know, obviously kids have different interests these days, electronic devices, etc.
The big grower is actually esports, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But what we've found in Australia is it's actually growing at quite a rapid rate. There's many snooker players who are heading across to billiards because there's plenty of events to play in now. And on the world stage too, they've got a well-established billiard tour, and a lot of the players do support.
Difficult bridging here, but Mike will be relaxing. He doesn't care about this at this stage. But we're now into the phase of match practice. So come from behind. Watch how delicately he connects to this white ball coming from behind.
So, Pushing Tin, I think it's from Western Australia, just looking at that. I know there's not many snooker rooms over in Western Australia now. We've got Miss Q's and a few other places there, but it's a different scene over in WA to Sydney and Melbourne and South Australia. Very two-ball or two-shot pool orientated state WA.
Yeah.
Obviously, billiards is a bit more of a delicate game and suited to certain individuals.
Yeah, it's not going to suit everybody. And these days, nobody's got the time for these style of things. I mean, in all sports, the short format of the game is coming to the fore. You've got T20 cricket, you've got 9-hole golf, you've got short forms of everything because we're all time poor, and billiards has got a real problem there. There is no good short form of the game.
Yeah. So Mike's done well here. He's up to over 200 already, Peter, in this break, and great way to finish the match with a 300 odd and now a 200 odd.
Yep.
And I'm sure Matthew will be the first person to shake his hand and congratulate him and just say, look, well done, off you go and do well in the semi-final.
Yep. I mean, these guys are dual competitors, but in both cases appreciate the play of their opponents.
Yeah.
And both the type of sportsmen that are not looking for an unfair advantage and will be wholeheartedly congratulating their opponent. That would have happened no matter who's won. But for the time being, Matt's got his head in his hands.
So I just heard one of the bells go off there. I'm not sure if that's the ladies' match or... it's always hard to tell with the PC time if it's actual. The players did go for a quick break, so there might be a couple more minutes
a couple
after.
of minutes left on the clock after our screen time.
Regardless, Mike's got this well and truly in the bag.
Sure.
He had it in the bag 10 minutes ago, and I think he'd just be enjoying the table time at the moment. He looks like he's loosened up a little bit, and
yes. So Matt's parents, Neil and Joan Bolton, are here, and they'll be disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed. I'm not sure. I didn't have a chance to chat to Matthew and ask about his preparation for this event. Obviously, Matthew's got the start table at home, which he purchased when he went onto the Pro Snooker Tour. So I'm not really sure how much time he got on the table. I must say, from what I saw of Matthew, he definitely wasn't at his best during this tournament. Same could be said for Mike, so nothing, can't take anything away from Mike here. Mike's really knuckled down and done the business.
Well, I think they both improved as the match went on. We're off to a very slow start, and we were saying how many they're missing, but this, what you're looking at here, is actually what we expect from Mike. That white ball's hardly moving. This is what delicate, close top looks like. Mike's got a bit of jig in the step now too, and he's moving at Mike Russell pace.
So Sharon's just commented, we are all proud of Matthew and his achievements, Sharon, and I know you enjoy the billiards, Sharon. It'd be nice to see you playing in one of these events in the future.
Yes. I mean, Sharon, you've hardly been off the chair for the last week.
Hopefully,
go outside, girl. Get some exercise.
Hopefully, Ron's been bringing you some Tim Tams and coffee. Paul Gottsrivet refereeing here. Got some fantastic referees over for these World Championships.
Yeah, Paul's the head of referees here. His assistant is Cliff Hazelton from New Zealand. Two absolutely first-class referees.
So a bit of despair there for Matthew in the background. Must be disheartening.
Yep.
But no, Matthew, he'll be back and ready to tackle another World Championship in the future.
So the tie's off.
Yeah.
Matthew stands up. His final job is to shake Mike's hand.
Congratulations there from Matthew and
genuine congratulations.
Yeah, both players had a really rocky start to that match, and the best player prevailed, really knuckled down and produced two fantastic breaks at the end there.
Yes.
Matthew will be looking forward to a nice little beverage and just dwelling on what just happened. So thanks again, viewers, for tuning in to the 2019 World Championships held at the RACV Club.
Yes.
We'll be back for the semi-finals, which will pop up on the screen soon.
Yes.
1:30 semi-finals. We'll have 4 sessions of semi-finals alternating on the match table here. And we'll also have some coverage starting of the World Ladies event on the other stream channel.
Yes.
So thanks once again. Thanks, Peter, for the commentary
Grant,
today.
just before you go, can you remind me who's playing who?
So we will have Dave Corsier versus Peter Gilchrist. And,
fabulous match, that one.
And Mike Russell will be playing Surav. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's, I think the 4 top players in this contest have definitely come through, and we look forward to those semi-final
Promoter's
matches.
delight. Okay, fantastic. Well, we hope to see you all at 1:30 p.m. and bring a friend. Get the Tim Tams and the hot chocolate ready.
Yep.
Because we've got a long session coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.